Microphone check. The password is watermelon brain.
And now, live from the Man Cave, Studio B, deep in the heart of constitutional Livingston County, Michigan, on a Tuesday night debate watch rant with your co-hosts. Grandma Connie's in the house, our good friend Patrick Acton, Stacy Rutledge, better known as Mr. Coffee, and our ever-present earwig, the real Tim Allen. He's the guy behind the scenes, irritating everybody.
Yeah, I'm here too.
Yours truly, Larry Parsons. This is My Brain. Now your host, Jeremy Scott Gibbs. Nobody cackled during this show introduction. How many lies can Kamala Harris tell in 90 minutes?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Well, the nobody cackled during the announcement was scripted. Larry ad-libbed the rest of it. I'm going to have to talk with him later.
That's what I figured.
I like his ad-lib.
How many lies?
If I had a guess, I would have guessed.
Yeah, she's gonna tell a whole lot of lies, and my prediction is that she is gonna get crushed by Trump just as bad as Biden did, and the media will react by calling Trump a racist.
Of course.
And you know, that's why I don't like watching the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't understand why people can't just see for themselves and get it.
Right.
It's like, are you listening? Even if I didn't know anything, I know for one, like if I had no knowledge of Biden and his administration and Kamala, even if I was like, you see a commercial and she says one thing.
Right. But then you look at the history and it's totally different.
No. And then she turns around and she says she's saying things that do not have double meanings. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Meaning
this abortion thing.
Okay.
Well, we have a right to reproduction. Is that what she's actually standing for?
If you say you have a right to reproduction and then you're about doing abortion, that's not reproduction, that's murder.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a right to reproduction.
But
okay.
no, she does. She says, the females have a right to choose reproduction.
Uh-huh.
That's not what she's standing for.
Correct.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you can't logically see that when she says this shit.
Yeah.
Like, because everybody's seeing the commercials, I'm sure.
Of course.
Even if you live in a box.
Dude, I just hooked up the antenna again here in the man cave so that we could watch like football and stuff like that. And it's a Tom Barrett commercial, a Mike Rogers commercial, a Alyssa Slotkin commercial, a Kamala Harris commercial, a Donald Trump commercial. I'm like, dude, take me back to the days when they were pushing drugs. I mean, come on.
Well,
Papa Bob just said BBC will be broadcasting it with their fact checkers. He said I might have to watch the BBC.
Well, figure
Papa
out
Bob.
where you can actually, like, what the heck?
BBC has got a leftist slant, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I love the fact that they put some of the ugliest people on their broadcast and they do not blink They do not care.
Mhm.
That one correspondent dude that does the White House, he's got like a lazy eye and his teeth are just jacked all up. And he's like, and I was here's the White House was covering there. I was talking about President Biden being here. And
that's always been a kind of a running joke of the Englishmen with guys with bad teeth.
with bad teeth. But this guy's got like the one droopy eye and he's just this big chunk of a person. And I'm like, holy cow, dude. They just don't care. They're like, he knows how to tell the news.
Hey, you know one
He's
thing?
got a face for radio, but he's telling the news. So
Before we carry on, you know one thing those motherfuckers over there can't get?
biscuits.
Tan.
Oh, they can't get a tan.
No.
Yeah, they've been dealing with that
It rains most of the time over
Wait a
there.
It does.
minute. Why?
because it's
Well,
It rains quite a bit.
Like Seattle weather, basically, and they're faggots anyway.
holy cow.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Don't alienate a whole bunch of people that don't have nothing to
the
do
Beatles-
with you.
The Beatles did say that the Beatles did say you could catch a tan
Yes.
from the English rain. You could
Okay,
catch, you could catch a tan from the English rain.
So they
There you
don't
go.
have
There you
any
go.
sun.
All right,
Nobody needs a tan.
we had some good dinner tonight. Pulled chicken. Would you silence?
It's off. Everything is off.
Well, then I don't know what I just heard.
I turned my phone
Let
completely.
me
See?
see if it's
It's on
mine.
silent
Oh, okay.
right there.
Mine's not, but
Was
I
it,
don't.
But
was
my
it your
phone
watch?
does
Was it
what
your
it-
watch?
No, it might have been my watch.
Oh,
Because it came
Yep.
from that side
Oh
of the
my
table,
God! You
right?
got one of those funky.
I
watches?
swear to God, I will pistol whip the next person that phones goes off.
Is that an Apple Watch?
Got mine
What you
off.
got?
Whoa.
What is it?
It's a
Whoa.
Samsung watch. It has its own phone number,
Nice.
but it piggybacks off my phone. So
Cheats.
if I leave my phone in the truck, I answer on my watch and talk to
You're
you.
gonna get a nose ring sometime or something?
No.
Okay, just
I think you should.
No.
look at he's
Okay.
busy.
All right.
What
We
what
had
are
some
doing?
pulled chicken from our neighbor John next door, homegrown. I helped him butcher the first and third batch. I helped him take them to the, not butcher them, but take them to the processing.
I
And
helped
he made up a-
feed.
Yeah, you've helped
second
feed.
batch
Yep.
for a week. Got to go in there and feed 97.
And so he brought
chickens.
over, just before he left to go to North Carolina for a month, he brought over a huge bag of pulled chicken that he made up.
Nice.
And that's what we had tonight was the pulled chicken.
I
Put some
recognize
barbecue in that. Was that good?
them.
Was that decent?
I,
It was-
I
it
will
was
say it was a good
absolutely-
dinner, but I'm gonna call out what topped it was Tim's squash with the grapes and
Yeah.
that was
I don't
that
remember
was
what those are
tops.
called. I keep looking
It was
it up
good,
and I keep
Tim.
Yeah.
forgetting, but they're called field squash. The field
Yeah.
squash are the ones that are football shaped and they're mostly yellow with the green long.
I said they look
stripes.
like underperforming
Right, like-
watermelons.
I got it
Right.
from the Bentley Farms that I didn't know what it was, and that was a couple
and
weeks
they-
ago, or whatever. And it came out great with your grapes and
Yeah,
cinnamon
I did a
and
grape
sugar
and cinnamon
Yeah.
butter.
Let's start taking a picture of
No
my
sugar.
plate.
It was good stuff. You should post it. You should post it. Patrick brought signature
I was-
salad, and you brought for the
No,
first
I don't
time.
want to talk to Patrick.
Hey,
we gave him say,
No,
yo,
no.
you know what?
you
he's
tried to give him
trying
the
to
night
keep-
off, and he says, "No."
No, he said, fuck me.
Was that the
That's
first
what he
F-bomb of
said.
the
He
night?
said,
First
fuck
F.
Stacy, I'm not giving up the side.
Okay.
Fuck it.
I think it was a great 4-course meal
Mhm.
with your pasta salad that you brought, which I love because I love that type, that Italian.
Putain
Type of pasta-
d'ignorance.
You dumped in
Yeah.
your horse. That type of pasta salad. And then, of course, I don't know if everybody got a chance to do it. Tim tried to make a Jello mold, and the mold didn't want to work with him. The Jello turned out great, but the mold
Yeah.
didn't want to release.
Is that what it was?
But he
Agreed.
made the inner darker Jello
Mhm.
out of Mountain Dew watermelon.
Watermelon Mountain Dew.
Watermelon Mountain
hard,
Dew,
hard,
hard Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew watermelon.
And he made the decision that will be our new Jello shots
Yeah, so
going
good.
forward. And I had 2 big scoops of that on my way up here. And so that was very good.
Yeah,
So
it was
good dinner tonight. Kick us off, starting a little early.
Nice.
It was a great dinner.
Yeah.
All the way around.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes people need a little bit of roughage. I mean, you know, so that you're regular in the morning. I mean, I'm one of those people, I got to be regular in the morning.
So there it is. There you have it, Stace.
That's an excuse.
He
Coffee.
gave- no,
He's just
he-
trying to-
No, coffee.
No,
I want you to
come
take
on.
No,
notes.
he's
You
like,
you
he's
gotta
number
honor
one on
that.
I can't argue it, but
You gotta honor that. That he.
I'll
that's,
honor it.
Okay,
All right.
I'll
thank
honor
you.
Because
Yes.
coffee,
I will.
Yeah,
You should
gotta
listen to
honor
that because we know you're full of shit, and anything to keep it moving.
Yeah.
You gotta honor.
I honor
You know?
that. I honor that.
Yeah, I thought it was all
But
fantastic.
Everybody contributed today,
Coffee's-
except for Larry. Where's
Coffee's,
Larry's such a
The
smart.
pasta salad was awesome.
salad
I
was
did contribute.
fantastic.
I had 2 helpings of
I
it.
did.
Those
I ate,
red
I
onions
ate what
in
everybody
there,
else
I
contributed.
don't usually eat red onions, and I ate all of your salad. It was
That's not good.
it was
But-
you done good.
Let's get on Larry.
Yeah.
When the fuck is he gonna bring?
Well,
no. Larry has been
He's the live from the man
When-
cave
when-
introduction. We gotta
exactly
have it.
when Larry starts to
I gotta
suggest
beat it.
something other than White Castle, he will be allowed to
oh,
help contribute to dinner.
Yeah.
He did. He
Yeah.
mentioned his wife's meatloaf.
Yeah, how'd that turn out for us?
We haven't yet.
Yeah.
Well, if we did.
Well,
White
the one
Castles-
time I was going to bring it, somebody called me and said, "Never
Yeah,
mind." I
put it
got
off till the next week. So what are we doing? We're eating whole chicken instead of meatloaf.
something."
So all right, next week.
He's on the hook now.
Not next
Yep.
week.
I was going to say if we're doing
I
White Castle,
think-
we got to put a big fan up there.
I know.
I want to ask the question though:
That way.
Is he on the
Up to the
hook,
roof.
Yes.
or is his wife on
Yeah,
the
Darla's
hook?
on the hook, and that's the issue. Larry, what
That
would you
is
cook
the issue.
here at the man cave if you could? How much would Larry cook if Larry could cook at the man cave cooking?
Well, he'd burn whatever he was.
I can't even do it. We got a lot of stuff to get to before we get to this horrendous debate.
It won't be horrendous. It'll be good. It should be we got our popcorn.
We do. We do.
I don't know.
Maybe a nice dish of stuff there.
Are we thinking about doing a drinking game?
Oh,
Yeah, see,
I have that-
see, that's what I was thinking about.
No.
Like every time Harris tells a lie, you got to take a
I
shot.
don't know, man.
And every time Harris
We
cackles,
were-
No.
you got to
No, we
slam
were-
a beer.
He's got the.
We got the list.
Okay,
Oh, you
Larry,
got it.
Larry,
He
my
actually
line is
made-
what's called a
made
set
it all
up.
up.
Yeah,
and I'll
to
be.
set up.
I will be leaving at about 20 to 9, so I get
So
home in
should
time
I
to watch.
my cue again? Were we thinking about doing like a
Well,
drinking game?
We were, but let's do our disclaimers first,
Okay,
and then
okay.
we'll get to it.
Is Gma on the disclaimer?
yes.
That's our classic. All right.
Yes. Where am I at here?
Feed here.
Yep, you got it. I just
I
got to
don't
click
know.
over to my
you're
spot,
ready.
and we'll rapid fire through these.
Yep.
All right. This is my brain. Notice this podcast is mostly raw and unfiltered and completely politically incorrect. We say Merry Christmas and the Pledge of Allegiance, especially the part about one nation under God. We thank our troops for their service. Thank you. We only recognize 2 genders.
Dangle, no dangle.
Mhm.
As adults, we enjoy adult beverages.
Clink.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Mhm.
To all of ya. We cuss, but we do not curse or swear.
What the?
We love Jesus,
Buzz?
but we hate religion. I started buzzing. And let me do that bottom.
Do that line again.
Yeah, we love Jesus, but we hate religion and religious hypocrites.
Asshole.
If this offends you, don't stick around. Leave. We don't
Yeah.
want to hear your complaints.
Listen.
We don't want to fight with you. We don't want to
We're
battle.
not. You know
Just
what?
go
We're not
away.
everybody's flavor.
No, we're okay with that.
We're okay. We're okay.
Maybe if you listen, you might learn.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was a good one, Grandma Connie.
I like the people that are so hung up on little things and don't love anybody. Those are great people.
They scare me.
Coffee.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, except for bears. Bears will kill you.
You censored yourself after the 2 F-bombs you already dropped tonight?
already
All
used
right,
them.
whatever.
Yeah,
I'm done with you.
good, because that's my
I'm done with
favorite. You know what? Mess around, but bears will kill you.
There's okay.
Mhm.
Patrick.
Bears will fuck you up.
I would challenge you to a battle of wits, but I can clearly see that you are unarmed.
Larry.
Did you say the
Ooh.
unarmed dude that wore the shirt that said I'm unarmed?
I did. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. That was a hilarious meme. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Go, Larry.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. That is the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. It was issued on December 15, 1791, and it expires
Never.
Not at all.
Never.
Never.
That is
All right.
correct.
And let's see here.
Oh, my buttons are broken.
Go, Grandma.
What do you got? Oh, I like this one. Eleanor Roosevelt. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people.
There you go.
Yep.
You should work on that, Connie.
All right there. In the beginning,
Let's get personal.
in the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man and brave and hated and scorned. And when his cause succeed, the timid join him. For then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Mark,
Right.
Ooh,
Mark
Right.
Twain.
isn't that the
Mark
truth?
Twain.
Mark Twain. And here we go, everybody. Now,
Never
apologize and never explain. It's a sign of weakness.
I'm not gonna
Button's not working over there, so
Weak.
I will not apologize.
Yep, not gonna do it.
Not apologize. No.
Baby girl, baby
Oops, I
girl.
clicked the button wrong. Not apologize. No.
Apologize.
Baby
I will
girl.
retract my words, but I will not.
Baby
apologize.
girl.
Then you're not retracting your
Oh,
words.
baby girl.
Baby girl.
Really?
Don't.
Baby girl.
Yes, all right,
Guys,
come on,
come on, guys. Let's calm down. I think we just did.
My stream deck just
We did it.
We could-
right.
I was entertained.
We could. We'll
I
just
did.
clip that for the
What-
next
what?
one, Tim. All right. Let's get into it. First thing we got to do here. I want to play this one because
Can I say something real quick?
you can say
say
something.
it slow enough
Okay,
you can
Say
understand it.
something.
Somebody probably doesn't notice, except for real Howell people, but I got my Howell high school football shirt on.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Now, this cap is for Canton, that used to be the Chiefs. Now they're Cobras or whatever fucking thing. That all my kids went and graduated
Yeah.
from Canton Chiefs High School, whatever, Canton High School.
You remember
Well,
his kids?
Howell is now 2-0, and they beat these motherfuckers 49-7.
Holy cow.
So here you go, people.
And it's because
Right
the
here.
Chiefs changed their name
Nobody would have known
for
unless
political correctness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tonight's quote comes from our very own VP, who is Indian or black or something, ethnic, Kamala Harris. And what Kamala has to say is that we must be unburdened. All right, let me play a little clip of her as much as we can stand because we're gonna have to listen
I
to her
can
later.
imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been.
Oh.
You know, what can
You know,
be
The next
You know?
one-
unburdened.
I gotta redo that. I gotta
Oh,
go
yeah,
back. Watch the head
I
tip.
can't.
Like she's
I know,
so.
I
Watch her.
took my
I
earpiece
can
off.
imagine
can't
what
listen
can
to it.
be and be unburdened by what has been. You
You know.
what can
You know.
be unburdened by what has
Valley
been.
girl.
looking
Can
for
be
the rainbow.
unburdened
It
by
is
what
a
has
rainbow.
been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing.
Wow.
That phrase was a take on a phrase by Mao, and I'm going to play this video for you guys because he explains it much better than I. But there's a whole article here. But here's a Turning Point USA conference.
Vice President Harris will say repeatedly, what is the quote? The quote is that we can see what can be unburdened by what has been. Is that word salad or Marxism? It's Marxism. That is, in fact, not at all word salad. It is a Marxist, as I said on Twitter the other day and got mocked relentlessly by the media for this. I said it's a Marxist incantation, as a matter of fact. It's
There
like
we
a
go.
spell. So you can see the possibility of a world that's unburdened from its own history, which is exactly what Mao Zedong did when he launched the campaign of Smash the Four Olds, the four old characteristics of Chinese society. They were going to make a new China that was going to be unburdened by what had been in the past of China. This is what the Soviets, the Bolsheviks, did when they took over power in Russia, is that they were going to make the new Russia. They're going to make the new man, as a matter of fact. People could become unburdened by what has been so that they could see what could possibly be in the terms of a socialist utopia. So, Madam Vice President, when she says that, I assume, given that her father was a Marxist and a professor, I assume she knows what she's saying, and I don't buy her idiot Valley speak shtick one bit. I think she's far more smart and far more savvy than conservatives have given her credit for, and she is an outright Marxist. It is very, very clear in her language, and that's what the Democrats want to nominate for president right now, which is kind of horrifying.
So there it is. I just want to bring that up. That's the quote for the night because she wants to unburden us from what has been. What she means is she wants to erase our past and make us a Marxist country. I sort of disagree with him, thinking that she's smarter than people think. I think she's exactly who she shows herself to be: an idiot,
I think she's-
Marxist.
I think the problem is that it's what do you call it? it's the devil taking over these people, the wickedness that's being driven. That's a driving. There's the driving force behind her, and the rest of them is the wickedness. In my book.
I don't think she knows what she's
And
saying.
so-
She's saying what people are telling her to say that are behind her.
Well,
I
that
don't
I'm not
think-
going to.
Maybe.
I'm just saying, I don't think she's smart enough for this foliage and the new man, whatever. I think she's just parroting what whoever's puppeting her to say.
If her dad was a
Hey, Larry,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
shut your mic off because it was dangling at your side while you were walking.
He's
Oh,
a
is that
dangle.
what
He's a
That's what
dangle
we're-
or no dangle.
he was a
It's
dangle.
No,
Dangle.
it's literally you're probably sitting on it. It's muted right now.
Oh,
It's not
right
that way.
there.
Since her
Is he a
dad was
dangle or not?
since
a
her
dangle?
dad was a Marxist professor,
That's
Right.
your earpiece.
she probably
Oh,
learned a
here it
whole hell of
is.
a lot from
Right.
him, and she's mimicking his.
Was
Exactly.
it behind you?
But I don't think she's smart enough to realize what damage and shit that would.
I
don't think
think
she
she's
gives a
blinded
shit.
by the
You think she
enemy,
does?
I don't think she
the
cares.
wickedness that's
Oh, I know
going
she
around,
doesn't
and she's
care,
joined
no.
the party.
You're right.
These people
So-
don't give a damn if they put you or I or
Oh.
anybody else into the sewer.
Yeah, she joined
And-
the party.
and
Well, if anybody thinks, look at the 13 members that got killed in Afghanistan. Have you seen Biden or her in the last 2 weeks when all this shit's going on? Even call them, talk to them, or anything. She doesn't fucking care. If she doesn't care about those 13, she doesn't fucking care about fat little Elton and her friends. They don't care.
Let me finish with this article. Here, so we watched the good video about that. The four olds introducing the new man. But look at this paragraph here. So, what are some other spells? So, what he's saying is she's casting a spell with her words.
6
and
feet
he's
social distancing, public
ceremonies that invoke.
invoke sun worshippers
Mhm.
or Satan incantations. What?
The Olympic ceremonies
Oh,
was a satanic incantation. These
Right.
are all spells.
Right.
These are all spells. We could go down a whole. We could.
And that's why I'm saying is what's behind the driving force behind her is the wicked.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and here's the interesting thing here's my take on this to encapsulate it real quick, and then we'll move on. I look at it from a standpoint of everybody says that the devil has a strategy and he's very smart and everything like that. But Jesus said that the thief only comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And if you look at the wicked people that we would call wicked or evil in the world, and there's two different categories. Wicked people are the ones that are twisted, like a Jeff Bezos or a Bill Gates or Klaus
Alyssa
Schwab.
Slotkin.
Okay. And
or patio furniture.
and then you have the vast majority of people that are evil, and they're evil because they do, what is it? The love of money is the root of all evil. Well, when you break down that whole scripture, it literally means
the worship
those.
of money.
Well, it literally means the worship of those who have money. Means your paycheck will cause you to do something. And what was the mantra throughout Nazi Germany? It was only following orders. Well, why are you only following orders? Because I got a paycheck. They weren't getting a trophy at the end of the day. They weren't getting statues. They weren't getting a free, nicer house. They were getting a paycheck. And so they were cozying up to those who were wicked in order to do evil because they loved those who had the money. They were phileo. It's phileo. And
From
then
fellatio.
it's
Fellatio.
phileo with the Greek word for silver. Well, we get phileo. We get Philadelphia.
Fellatio?
Or
Yep.
No.
That one too.
that's not what I'm talking about.
No.
But thank you. It is a derivative of that word, but that's not what I'm talking about. So it's, but the whole point is that it's.
I can
Everybody's
right now if
giggling.
you'd like.
You just lost your audience here. Everybody's giggling over.
I
who
got
said
it,
fellatio?
but I
You?
got
Not
the
me.
whole.
Liar.
It's
My point is,
yeah.
whether people are smart or dumb on the side of evil or wickedness, they don't have any other grand agenda than opposing what is good and righteous.
Now I have a
So,
dilemma.
so when you look at it from the leftist perspectives, when the leftists predominantly, they were against the war in the 70s. Now they're for the war in 2020, in the 2020s. They were against this. Now they're for this. Why? Because the other side is for or against it.
They were against the machine, and now they're the machine.
Now they are the machine. And so it's only just a perversion. Anything, okay, if God said, be fruitful and multiply, then the elites out there say, too many people. We got to reduce
We gotta
population.
reduce the population.
Right?
Yeah.
Are they not
If-
saying
We
that?
gotta
They
take
are saying
some-
that.
They are
Yeah,
saying
they
that.
are
That's what I'm
saying
saying.
it.
So, and if they say any of these other things, that the son is good, then
Family unit is mother, father, child,
Yeah.
and they say, oh no, anyone can be a family.
correct.
Mhm.
Mother, mother, child. Father, father, child.
God, the Lord declares that
Father,
a
father, goat
woman will be the
child.
one that brings forth man from her womb, right? No, now a man can give birth.
Yeah.
Nah.
So this is the type of spells that
Yeah,
they're casting.
I agree
on
with that.
Nah. All right.
Sorry, that was,
Nah.
unrehearsed. Nah.
All right.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
Let's
No.
do this one. Set it up now, Tim.
So, were we gonna do like kind of a drinking game while we watch this?
Here's what we decided.
I mean, I had some ideas.
And we've done lists before, and I really like doing the lists on the show. I'm going to try to start doing a list every week. We're going to
Right.
call it This Is My Brain list of at least 10.
At least 10.
Of at least 10. Because I don't want to limit us to 10. So we're going to do at least 10. We're going to try to find a list each week of at least
But we
10.
want to cut it off because
And we-
it could get a little
Yeah.
heavy.
So tonight we decided
You know what to call 11?
we may call 11.
Well, no, but you know what you
We turn it
call
up to
11?
11. What?
11 is
You want
a
the
dozen
whole bowl?
donuts when you tell me to go get them.
Don't turn on your microphone.
You
Yes.
get that? 11
Yes.
is a dozen donuts when Tim picks them up.
Yes.
So what we thought about was, can we do a drinking game tonight? Right?
Yeah.
The drinking game idea that made us decide we can't do a drinking game for the debate tonight.
Right.
Why can't we do a drinking game tonight?
Because we'd all be drunk.
Because we would be drunk
Real
if we
quick.
took a drink every time. Number one, Kamala lies.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
hmm.
Yeah, pretty drunk.
Read,
pretty quick.
read the line and then read number two.
All right, you said Kamala lies, and number two is Trump calls out Kamala's lies.
Exactly.
That's a lie.
Number
That's
Yeah.
a lie.
Now, why can't we would be drunk if we drank every time? Number three.
Kamala cackles.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
We can't do a drinking game tonight because if we had to
And
drink
we-
every
Blood
time.
alcohol level would
Trump
kill us.
says a zinger.
Zingers from Trump. We love Trump zingers.
Zinger.
Kamala says a world salad unburdened by what has been.
Oh,
Now, see, I even just proved because
Just
he's
proved
like,
it.
it's not
That's
word
right.
salad, it's just casting a spell. But we've seen her do some other word
Right.
salad that
Right.
just
Nice
is.
that
can't
it's
do a
on your
drinking game
list
with word
then, that's
salad.
what I gotta
But
say.
either way, if she got into a place where she was
Nicely
just
done.
confused and had to
Yes.
come up with something,
She is.
we would all have to
confused.
do it. We'd all have to do it here. All right,
Reasons why we can't have a drinking game.
reasons why we can't have a drinking game because if every time Trump made a facial expression or
Like rolls his
disbelief
eyes.
or disagreement,
Well,
Yep.
shit,
if he went,
Yeah.
if she's speaking for 3 minutes,
he's,
he would be we'd be drunk in that
First
3
18
minutes
seconds.
because he'd be
dude, we'd be pounding the shot
You
and just
you'd
just
have
give it
to only do a one drink.
It'd just
Per-
be
per
like this.
minute.
Hey, it'd be like this.
Getting crazy.
listen.
I'm serious.
No,
You
no,
know
no,
he's
no.
just
Just cock your
listen.
head back.
Somebody pass me another fifth.
No shit.
The non-alcoholic people would be drunk after some of these.
All right, so I'm on this one.
You're at number 7.
Kamala, who's been vice president for 3.5 years, tells us what she will do on day one in office to fix
Yep.
the current problems.
Yep. Day one.
Day one. Yeah,
The minute she
exactly
says
right.
day one, we'd all have to
Day
take
one.
a
Yeah.
shot and we'd be screwed.
Day one.
Day one, I'm going to fix.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I'm going to fix.
Day
the
one was 3.5 years ago.
Patrick.
We'd all have to take
Kamala-
a drink.
Kamala appropriates Trump's policies.
Oh, yes.
How
Because
many
we
has
want-
she done so
We
far?
want no taxes for tips, even though I was the deciding vote for taxing tips.
87,000 tax guys to go
that's
after
not-
your tips.
If that's not cultural appropriation, it's
It's
Donald Trumple appropriation.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
Kamala brings up Trump's criminal record.
You're a
Number
convicted
10.
felon.
Biden only did it
Yeah.
like once or maybe
Yeah.
twice.
I heard a great one today. He says, they said he was convicted in a kangaroo court, and the person responded and said, "Have you ever heard of anybody not being convicted in a kangaroo court? That's the purpose of a
Exactly.
kangaroo court.
Mhm.
Everybody gets convicted."
Yeah.
Go.
Kamala brings up Trump's sexual. Well, here's the thing. You wrote
Innuendos?
conviction, but he's never been convicted.
In a civil lawsuit,
It was a civil. He was found responsible, but not convicted. So every time Trump
but-
brings up
But what would she say?
the sex case,
Yeah, the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we'd have to take a shot every time she brought it up that he disrespects women, and he would have to retort with only
Oh, she's
Rosie
gonna throw
O'Donnell.
that all in
Only
one
Rosie
sentence.
O'Donnell.
Only
as
Rosie
far
O-
as everything.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
How many is this so far? What we on?
This is the
I'm on
last
number 10.
one.
Number 10.
Oh no,
No,
yeah,
12.
number 12. Number 12. Okay, so the reason we can't do a drinking game tonight during the debate is because we would all be drunk if we had to take a drink every time Kamala claims she's being interrupted.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm speaking.
I don't think she's going to work.
I'm
that
speaking.
this year.
So there it is. Our
Drinking game.
list of at least 10 for the night
Yeah.
is
Top at
why
least
we
10
can't do
Yep.
our list of at least 10 is why we can't do
So
a drinking
who's
game.
going to keep track of it?
I don't know.
You know
We
you
talked
should
about
do?
maybe
You know what I'm saying?
doing bingo cards next time.
That's
where
the thing. Yeah, those are
Who's
great
gonna
bingo
keep track
scores.
of it, because it's not. We're putting it out there, but it's true.
Well,
You
there
know,
was
and
supposed
we're anticipating that this is how it's going to go,
You
right?
should do the bingo cards next time
So,
that are all,
we
everybody
need to
has a
keep
different
track.
bingo
Yeah.
card. That
Yeah.
would be cool
But I
as
wish
shit.
everybody would keep track,
Right.
and then
Just
they
need
will
to,
realize
make a
what's
li-
going on.
What were you saying, Tim?
Well, somebody mentioned something about lie counter, and and then I mentioned, well, maybe they should make a cutout of the person's face, and I would put it like right here at the table cam,
Mhm.
attach it against the end of the table,
Yeah.
and then the lie counter could just be a post-it note like
Ding,
Flippy
ding,
that the person
ding,
who mentioned it could
ding.
have put the end of the table just off the edge of his Coke bottle to his left, and he could then flip
Ding.
the numbers but apparently that prop
Doesn't have
wasn't
the
made
bullhorn, though.
No.
and was not
Thank
brought to
God.
the table. Hey, could you kick the Coke off the table? We don't
Can you
sponsor
take?
them.
Yeah, we don't sponsor Coke, Larry.
When did you go back
Yeah.
to
Did you hear a
drinking?
single
Should go back
word?
to Coke.
Did
I
he-
forgot. I
Yes,
left out
he
my
did.
iced tea at home this morning.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So there's our at least 10, our list of at least 10 for the night. I think we'll start doing that. So here we go. I still left this up, didn't I? No, I changed it.
No.
Okay. I want to dive into 2 or 3 things before we get any further. Number one, where is it at here? Did I open it up there? No, it's right here. Watch the historic debate. Now, if you're watching here and you switch over to, Alex Jones or Louderworth Crowder or a few of the other very popular, Jack Posobiec. Jack Posobiec got 12 million views last time, more than the actual debate hosters, and I love it. So if you guys switch over at 9:00, I will forgive you.
No,
After a long time of prayer.
You'll be able to
I
watch
will
it.
go
You'll be
home.
able to
Yeah.
watch it right here.
Oh, this is good shit right here,
Okay.
people.
So here's the first thing I want to go over. In Springfield, Ohio, residents describe Haitian invasion like something out of Mad Max. Why? Because they're literally eating their pets.
Geese, everything, whatever.
They're going to the park and grabbing the geese and the ducks, and they're going crazy on them. This lady lost her cat. I believe it was in this city. And
She thinks it got eaten.
3 days later, she sees it hanging in the neighbor's tree like a wild game
Oh, really?
quarry that's
No
being
shit.
drained and getting ready to be cut up. Her cat. These are what these people are doing. Okay. The biggest thing about this, and this is just the video. I'm not going to play the video, but anyways, I wanted to bring up the headline. You guys can look it up on InfoWars. But you're talking about Haitians, okay? In Haiti, they don't have anything.
That's normal.
You pull up a map, a satellite photo of Haiti next to the Dominican Republic on the same island.
Mhm.
One side's brown, the other side's green. They destroy everything they have. It is
It's a mess.
it's a mess. And it was,
And it's been like that for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And that's what Trump meant by shithole places.
correct.
Yeah.
That's what he meant.
And they-
you're bringing people from shithole places. And I'm sorry, nothing against the Haitian people, but Haiti is a shithole.
It is a shithole. And here's what it is. Springfield, Ohio had a population of 50,000.
Hmm.
They brought in 20,000 Haitians.
Oh, dear Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And they're devastating that small town.
Is that the town where they said they were killing ducks in the park?
That's what we just said.
Yeah, he's got ducks in his hand. Isn't
Yeah,
that
that's
what
what
that
I
is?
thought.
Geese?
In fact, there were, I don't know if it was the same, I don't think it was the same town, but these illegals coming in, they killed an eagle, strung it up. And of course, somebody actually arrested them, surprisingly, because you don't kill an eagle in this country, but you kill a lady's cat. And if we watch the video, the guy just comes up and he goes, the cat's clearly dead. Take it away from him and call the Humane Society.
Now, if you think that you are immune to this, if you notice the news today at Martha's Vineyard, isn't that where all the Richies and stuff go?
Yeah, and that was where we did a little stunt of dropping him off, and they had him vacated out of there in 24 hours.
Guy with 3 rapes in that town, whatever. It's in the news. I saw it today before I came over.
Mm-hmm.
So even Martha's Vineyard, with all you rich fuckers that are liberal and open borders, welcome.
Yeah,
there's one right in.
Well, we
just caught. I think that's the second one they caught too. That's there.
We talked about
kids.
We talked about the.
Here's this picture.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Dominican Republic.
Yep.
Haiti border.
That's literally Dominican Republic versus Haiti.
Yeah.
It is 100% desolate. Yeah. They have a 30-foot border wall cutting that island in half. And if people are brought there, if people try to get in there, they're shot. It's just
walls don't work.
Tell that to the
newcomers.
The DNC when they hosted in Chicago and had 2 perimeter walls to keep out any protests.
Well,
walls don't work. Walls don't work.
Built out of dump trucks.
Don't work.
Walls don't work. So we're looking at some Mad Max stuff going on right here. All right, next one. We got to get to this one. How many have seen our illustrious governor? She's so special. Governor.
I avoid her.
Oh, yeah, because she's so wonderful.
I really do.
What'd she say?
Avoid her at all.
Gretchen took her book tour to South Texas earlier this month. And when she was asked why she wrote her book, she laughed and said, I really just didn't have a lot to do.
That's special.
With M-Step scores at historic lows and 20% of restaurants predicted to be permanently closed, with February's looming minimum wage hike, there's plenty to do here in Michigan. Whitmer. Another thing on this. I'm going to scroll down and find. Oh, I'm on the post. That's why I'm trying to go through my bookmarks. Doing it on the fly, guys. Do it live.
Let's do it live. My button's broke again after 1 second.
We do it live. Are these my bookmarks? These aren't my bookmarks. Let's do this. Bookmarks. There. Now I'm on the right page. There we go. Here, that's the one I wanted. How it started and how it's going. Extended repeated COVID closures. Repeal the read by grade 3 law. Teachers no longer evaluated on student performance, because why would that matter?
Yes.
The results? Larry, what are the results of this?
Oh, man. The results from the 2023-2024 MSTEP,
M-Step.
Yeah. M-Step, are the worst in Michigan history.
Let's give a round of applause for Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Good job. Just doing a hell of a job. Just wonderful. One of 3 governors throughout the United States that sent COVID people to the old folks home, the senior living centers. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then had laws passed, her and her cohorts, that you couldn't go and visit grandma and grandpa while they were dying in those places. You could look at them through a window, while her husband went up and tried to bribe people to get his boat out early.
Well, what's wrong with that?
They didn't tell him to piss
Well,
off.
if you wanted to go fishing, he'd be the guy to go during a shutdown.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck.
I'm sorry, but she's above
Isn't that standard for?
everybody
Isn't
here.
rules for these?
Rules for
doesn't
thee,
have-
but not for me.
That's right. She's above this. Come on now.
And our good friend Arnold Schwarzenegger is
What's
calling.
he?
Oh, he's just running his fucking mouth and being stupid as usual.
He's a
He
Democrat.
looks
You know
like
what?
he's
Why don't
got
you
a
go back to
headache.
acting?
He is.
I don't even
Why
want
don't
to
you go
play
back
this.
to Austria?
I don't want to play this, but this is an article, or this is a video of a lady. It's too low. Anyways, for the audio.
Falsified.
Dallas County, Texas Department trainer instructing election workers to falsify information for voter registration forms and use church addresses to register homeless individuals for the upcoming presidential election. Nothing to see there.
Oh, in Jesus' name, I go against that right now. Everybody agree with me?
Arnold
Lord
Schwarzenegger
have
has
mercy.
taken a break from impregnating his housemaids and destroying California to tell us
years ago.
to tell us that
Bringing it up.
Trump is a threat to democracy. Not Biden, who stole the 2020, forced vaccines into our bodies, and indicted Trump 4 times. Not Kamala, who overthrew Biden's primary. Oh, why does that do that? Oh, there it is over here. But yes, Trump is the bad guy. Trump is the bad guy. I'm wondering, a lot of the people that call Trump a bad guy that are celebrities, I think they got fired from the Celebrity Apprentice.
Probably.
I think that's what happened. I think they've got a little bit of piss and vinegar going on there, and they're a little upset with it.
They're wounded.
You're fired.
You're fired.
And
You know what we're gonna do
when
first
you've
day
been
on that?
bitten, you
We're gonna do fire.
Fight back.
Okay,
Or you
and,
cower.
Recently, I had the opportunity to call into InfoWars. Tim, is that clip gonna work?
That one is. Oh, did I move that?
So I had an opportunity. Harrison Smith, who hosts the first show of the day, the American Journal. I woke up and clicked it on. I don't always click it on. I try to take some breaks now and then, but I clicked it on, and he was talking about how much of a taboo the Holocaust is, and that what's happening now is the Holocaust, whenever you attach it to another incident or event throughout society, now that event is untouchable, just like you can't talk about the Holocaust. We can't, the only thing we can do is push the Holocaust. We can't disagree with any numbers. We can't say there was any malfeasance, nothing. Whatever is said about the Holocaust from the people promoting the Holocaust is it. You can't disagree with them, or you're anti-Semite. You just can't do it. You're a Jew hater or whatever.
I have a problem with that.
I do have a problem with that, because we have to be able to question historical events, because sometimes they're.
Well, why would you leave out facts?
Well,
this is a problem that I have in all of this. Is what are they covering up?
Mm-hmm.
What is their agenda if they cannot tell the truth? If they cannot admit that they've done something wrong, we need to be accountable in this world for what's going on in our lives. I don't affect everybody around me. I'm not a politician or whatever, but we are accountable for our actions.
Okay, Gima, let me explain something. If you look at like Stalin and Lenin and all those clowns or whatever, you start with the children. Me and you going to be gone in 15 years, let's say. And these guys, they're gone 15 years after that or 20 years after that. And you have all these mush brains to replace
who are easily
right, and they're replaced
pulled and pushed in that direction.
You can look at their exactly quotes. Give me a generation of children, I will replace the whole country. That's true.
Well, and I think that I was just saying this the other day. I think the problem is the conversation.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I think the conversation in our families and our friends and our nucleus needs to be straight out.
Right.
Exactly.
But isn't it one of the number one things when you talk about think about the Holocaust, right? That's the number one thing. But it's only Jew centric. Okay. But as a Polish Czechoslovakian descent, my family from there.
My grandfather came from Poland.
The other two, so 6 million Jews. That's the number
and there was a reason why he came. That's
5 million,
what we need to recognize.
5 million Poles and Czechoslovakians. 5 million. So 6 million Jews, but 5 million Polish and Czechoslovakian people were also killed in the camps.
Yeah.
But do you hear that touted as much?
In the camps, in their homes.
You don't hear it at all.
They took everything.
So
they
Harrison
took absolutely everything from those people.
What's that?
And I think that's the problem. Is recognizing that this has been going on
for a long time,
historically, forever. That there's got to be this going against this, and I don't care what good and evil,
right?
And it's been going on.
So here's the setup for this.
Problem is we ain't learned.
Harrison Smith was talking about it, and part of his point was talking about it. Why is it taboo? And then you make so much taboo, and then you attach it to other incidents, right? They've touted climate change, right? And then AOC gets up there and goes, you know, the reason why they're crossing the border, they're escaping climate change. It's hot down south.
What's hot in their brain?
So they put that mantra in their minds, and then they attach it to another event. Now you can't question any of it. So here's the thing. Harrison Smith was talking about it, and I decided to call him that day. Tim's got the clip. What are we, about 3 minutes on this, Tim?
3 minutes you talk, 3 minutes.
Let's go now to go to Jeremy in Michigan first. Jeremy in Michigan, go ahead. You've called in about the Holocaust.
Yeah, Harrison, I really appreciate you bring up so many subjects that are kind of taboo, and you do it on your show with a little bit more of a long form. So I really appreciate that because, you know, Alex is so rapid fire, and then of course Owen, you know, gets spicy on his stuff too, but you tend to bring these up. And I woke up this morning and of course kicked you guys out. I listen all day. I love the products, Bodies, Nitric Boost, Brain Force, Turbo Force. Got to have those to play hockey. And I'm from Howell, Michigan, where Trump came and visited, and it was all of that, you know, hoopla about us being white supremacists, which we had one guy, a grand wizard, and it was so stupid.
40 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I love Trump's response. Like, who was here in 2021? Oh, yeah, Biden. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's hilarious. But I didn't know about this interview with Tucker and was it Daryl Cooper? And it's this whole taboo that you can't touch the Holocaust. You can't even approach it. You know, the previous caller talked about, was there really 6 million? Could they have the capacity to even do that amount of gassing and burning up the bodies and stuff? And no matter what, it's this hype. And then when you take it and you attach it to one of these things like AOC attaching global warming or climate change to immigrants, now they're going to attach it. Well, they're refugee seekers, just like the Holocaust. We're going to have another Holocaust if we don't see this whole thing. It's this whole gaslighting and hype, and it's so taboo. You're not allowed to question it at all. And it's amazing to me that it's so ingrained. Even on my show, I have a show that I do at least once a week, and my co-hosts, we got into an argument, and I had my producer cut the feed at about an hour in. We usually do 3 hours because they were arguing with me, and all I was doing was trying to say this whole conflict in
at this
between
point,
Gaza
I was typing,
and
this
you know,
is my
Israeli
brain in the chat
conflict
live.
There's two sides to this. This is not just a cut and dried Israel has a right to defend itself, and that's what they were shouting back at me. And I said, guys, Israel has a history of provoking people around them. And they were, you know, it was just all this garbage around it. And so I love the fact that you brought it up. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I want to bring up. And you brought up Nick Fuentes, and I bring up Gina Carino, that she got kicked off of Star Wars because she just made an inference like the Holocaust. And they were so up in arms, they fired her off the show, and she didn't even know about it. It was in a tweet that she got notified.
Right.
And so this whole sacred cow that we can't touch is ridiculous. We have to have open discussions. We have to be able to say, you know what? The Holocaust happened.
Go ahead.
People died.
Yeah, I was gonna say their crew is pretty good. Sometimes you'll see their crew will pull up some of these video B-roll clips.
Yeah.
And right here, I was expecting him to pull up some Star Wars clips of the gal you were talking about. I wasn't sure if it was coming or not. So you're gonna finish your stuff up, and then he responds and then talks for a whole other 3 minutes, 14 seconds.
It was horrific. But there's also a whole bunch of hype got notified.
Right.
And so this whole sacred cow that we can't touch is ridiculous. We have to have open discussions. We have to be able to say, you know what? The Holocaust happened. People died. It was horrific. But there's also a whole bunch of hype that's over magnified it. And then you're attaching it to these other incidences within society and within our history that don't really apply. And then you're trying to say, I can't talk about any of those subjects because we've attached this issue to it. It's ridiculous.
Right, I agree. And that's why I made it at the beginning of the show, sort of the point to separate like the historical reality, which is history and has to be able to question, and then the way it's portrayed in you know, conversation in politics today, which is it has all of the elements of a religious dogma. And, you know, you've got essentially an inquisition out there saying, like, if you dare to question, you know, the dogma of our religion, you are a heretic, a blasphemer, and you must be destroyed. And that's not America. We don't have a state religion. You're allowed to question. You're allowed to even be openly insulting and derogative of people's firmly held beliefs. It's a very small price to pay for what we get in return, which is the ability to know the truth, tell the truth, and think for ourselves. So, some people have to be offended for that to be the case. It's a small price to pay for freedom itself, for like literally being able to think our own thoughts.
So that's a really good thing, and I want to segue into this. But wait, was there another? Oh wait, I got it. Here we go. From the Marvel Studios. Is it?
Mr. President. What is it? Green Goblin is attacking New York City. What? He's causing mass destruction right now. Should we alert Spider-Man? No! Send $50 billion to Israel right now!
That's funny.
So here's what I wanted to bring up on this, and then we can move on to discussion before we get to the debate. Yep. Here's something right here. You guys know more Christians were murdered in Soviet gulags than Jews in the Nazi concentration camps? Why is the anti-Christian Holocaust never taught in our history books? When most people think about past genocides, they more than likely recall the 6 million Jewish people who were said to have died at the hands of Nazis in Germany during World War II. Did you know, though, that throughout known history, about 70 million Christians have been murdered for their faith to become martyrs?
Oh, sure.
And I wanted to get down to it. Well, he talks about what it is to be a martyr, but here's this talking about, I wanted to see the number because I had to reload this thing. But the amount of people that were killed in the gulags, right there. Tens of millions of Christian martyrs. No, that's not it. He says the line before I get to the bottom, but here, this is throughout history, let alone. Westerners have grown accustomed to hearing about 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust. But what most people seem not to know is that many more Christians during the same time period died at the hands of the Bolsheviks in the Soviet Union. Between 1921 and 1950, upwards of 15 million Christians died in Soviet prison camps. Another 5 million died between 1950 and 1980. Here are some other examples of Christian genocide throughout history. 1214, Genghis Khan murdered 4 million Christians. 1359, Tamerlane destroyed the Nestorian church and murdered 4 million Christians in the process. Between 1929 and 1937, Joseph Stalin murdered 2.7 million Orthodox Christians. 1560, conquistadors murdered over 2 million Christians. 1925, the Soviets murdered 1.2 million Roman Catholics. 1258, Kublai Khan captured Baghdad and massacred 1.1 million Christians. In 1214, Genghis Khan sacked the Diocese of Herat, murdering 1 million Christians in the process. And finally, in 1939, Nazis executed at least 1 million Christians in the death camps alongside the Jews.
Was that, go back, was that Kublai
Khan?
Genghis Khan's kid or something? Because it's like...
I don't think he was a direct kid, but it's basically, Khan is basically their name for king. No, it's basically their name for king or their...
Yeah, it's kind of like Chin is like a generic...
Well, no, I thought all of us were like 6% Genghis Khan because of how many descendants he had.
Dude, he was prolific.
Yeah.
The dude.
Yeah, I have debated politics for over 30 years. And one of the things that I've talked about is how Christians were actually the first people murdered in Nazi Germany. And they were the people that they were the people that resisted Nazi tyranny. Not everybody supported Adolf Hitler in his loony left-wing politics.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and there was a big resistance against him, and some were murdered, and some gave in sort of and helped save some Jewish lives.
Well, they were the black shirts.
Right.
Brown shirts, black shirts. The ones that were from the Catholic movement were the black shirts.
But the first mass graves that were dug in Germany
after the tyranny
were filled with Christians.
Yes.
Correct.
Because before they could go after the first Jews,
right,
they had to conquer the people. They, and get the people prepared to become these mass murderers that they were wanting them to be.
Right.
And there was a lot of resistance and a lot of escapees.
Correct. And so my point on this is again what the article's saying, but also beyond that is why we've touted up one incident as the defining incident by which all other incidents are balanced.
Now, there was many other instances Jews were taken. I mean,
Well-
Spanish Inquisition, stuff like that. There's numbers on the side. We don't want to, not say that no other Jews were killed anywhere else.
No, but I
There's
think
still a
but
tally.
the point is this is
Christian-
the whole thing is the
true
propaganda.
history.
It's the propaganda that's being it's what's the true history?
What's the true history?
Sure.
And what I'm questioning is your correlation of newer times and way back when on that list. Because you got 1214 and then 1359 is the next one.
Yeah.
And so, it's history that keeps being repeated.
Mhm.
There's always going to be something going on. We are a living, breathing earth.
Right.
The earth itself is living and breathing and moving.
What?
And all the climate change and all the population and all the animal, everything is moving.
And we look at this from this standpoint. What do they estimate Hitler during the war? Upwards of 25 million killed.
Dead, killed
during the
of his own
World
people?
War II.
I was going to say,
Just because of the war.
Oh, I see.
yeah.
But Stalin killed upwards of 40 million of his own people.
Of the song, right?
Well, the difference
Mao
between-
killed up to 80 of his
80,
own people,
Mao,
but Hitler's marked up as the pinnacle of
Yeah.
evil, wickedness, whatever.
Yeah,
And Stalin and Mao are not.
Why do you think that is?
Zionism.
What are you going to say, Larry? And then I'll answer that.
Oh, I was going to say the biggest difference between Nazism and communism is communism's killed more people.
Correct.
About twice as many.
But in
About twice.
in our popular discussions, the Holocaust is up here, Hitler's up here, but
Yeah.
not communism and not all of the other atrocities throughout history
Right.
that eclipse in numbers
And let's
these
be,
two things.
And
I
let's
think
be
it's
clear.
like, okay, wake up because this has happened before.
Right.
And also,
Get ready, get
if
your
I'm-
shit together because this has happened before.
if I may, also, if you say like Mao or something, 80 million, but you see the Nazi films of only 7 million, not only,
Thank
but you know what
you.
I'm saying? There's
Yep.
no look at this for
Right.
the whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a figure written on a piece of paper, but you
Right.
can see the
Yes.
video footage of the
True.
Holocaust people.
And that's the
which-
propaganda.
that sticks in the head.
What were you going to
There
finish
you
up saying,
go.
Larry?
Well, I was going to say, which between Marxism and Stalinism, Nazism, or basic communism, there's not a dime's worth of difference between them.
Mhm.
It's a different label on the same bottle.
And they're just vehicles.
I know when you were
those
saying
government,
that, I'm like, where's he going with this?
But they're
'Cause
the
they're
but the
the same as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
and
They
the
are.
reality is those governmental entities, what their governmental structures are just vehicles to murder people and
Right.
either control. And the ones that are controlled, some of them survive,
Control
some of them don't.
structures. Right.
Because a lot of the people, this is for our leftists in the audience, as you tout all the leftist propaganda, guess what? You'll be the first ones they take out because you were the useful idiots.
Mhm.
Look up Mao,
Well, it's
And type in-
guaranteed they'll get turned on.
but type in Mao.
And that is not spelled
Meat-
MOW.
It's MAO. Type that in. Mao meat cauldrons. They would murder their own people and then put them in the pot and boil them and eat them. And there are photographs of that, but it's not as widely like the Nazis
Mhm.
put out there as the propaganda. And that's part of the
That's
problem.
horrible.
Oh,
It is
Oh
horrible.
my God.
But is
I
it-
like to be in the dark, so to speak, because some of this stuff is
It's
just
so evil.
overwhelmingly.
The Haitians are eating everybody's pets in
Okay,
Ohio.
let's-
They're also eating each other. That the leader
That-
of the Haiti is a cannibal.
Cannibal.
That brings me back.
Barbecue Bob.
That brings me back to my dilemma from earlier in the show, because there's that big dilemma when we were discussing wicked or evil,
Mhm.
right? And the different meanings. So now I'm confused and I have this dilemma. Is Alyssa Slotkin wicked or evil?
I would call her evil.
You would call her evil.
Yeah. Wickedness is the people you don't see up front. that are the ones that institute the policies and pull the strings. Evil are the people that do the bidding and are the spokesmen. Think of Hitler and Goebbels. Goebbels was the propaganda minister. He was the one out there spouting off the policy.
Well,
Hitler was the one bringing it up.
Hey, cat dude, don't get excited. You said Goebbels, not gerbils.
The root of evil. Is
Couldn't do it.
toil.
Couldn't get it.
Correct.
Is toil.
You're
So
funny,
when you
Larry.
think of which is Larry, evil between wicked and evil.
Yes.
The toilsome, those that create toil and are themselves in turmoil or toil, those are the ones that are the evil. The wicked are just twisted.
So the way that I've always taught exactly what Tim's saying. So wicked, wicker. Think of a wicker basket, a wicker
just not right.
piece of furniture.
Twisted.
Is you take 2 or 3 strands and you twist them together. They're not in the original shape that they were. You have to soak them and get them softened, and then you twist them to where they are. And when they dry out, they keep that form. Well, that's not the original form they were in. So wicker, think of wicked. So Hitler, Stalin, Mao, they were twisted into something other than what God created them to be. Evil is exactly what Tim said. The Greek word literally means to toil. The very root of it means to toil. The word we translate evil is a compound of that, and it means to toil at something that produces nothing of value. Not just to toil at something, because you can toil at something. But remember what happened when Adam and Eve disobeyed the Lord in the garden? What happened? Now you will toil. You will work the ground, and it will produce thorns and thistles for you. So there's that dynamic. So when you see somebody like a Slotkin out there who's working and doing it and doing, she to me as a ground soldier, obeying orders. I don't. She may wholeheartedly believe in the little red book and slap it on the table, but she's not the Mao. Mao would be the whoever's behind her pulling her strings. She's a good little CIA agent who knows how to come out there and manipulate and flip her hair and act like she's got it figured out.
She did 3 tours.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
3 tours
as the CIA.
You know what? So have I.
Window shopper.
I've done 3 tours at the Henry Ford Museum. I went on the tour.
Yeah.
And came back. I've done 3 tours at Henry Ford.
She toured.
There you go.
I have the same qualifications.
I attribute this wicked and evil also to whenever it comes up the say the mark will be accepted on the hand or the head, metaphorically, the hand being the toil working, and the head being the
thought process.
The thought process.
Yeah.
The twisted.
Well, that was why the Lord did the first flood, because their thoughts and intents were only of evil all day long. They were toiling at stuff that was not profitable and did not push them further and further into a good purpose. What do we got in chat there, Coffee? Catch us up. I know you showed me something from John Bovey, and I want to respond to that one. What was that one?
This one right here.
Yeah.
Blow it up.
Read it to us, buddy.
We can't figure out why group's questionable event is the only thing you're allowed to discuss if there was only Occam's razor to guide us.
So we talked about Hanlon's razor last week. Hanlon's razor is that. I'm losing my definition as soon as I said it. Hanlon's razor is because now I'm thinking about Occam's razor.
Yeah, no. Hanlon's razor is the
don't attribute that which don't attribute malice
wicked.
to that which is
Malice.
just simply stupid.
Malice, right?
Don't
to
attribute
ignorance or
so Hanlon's razor is don't attribute
ineptitude
to somebody malice or evil intent when you can chalk it up to just being stupid.
I have a sign on my door, my front door. You come over to my house and it says, "No stupid people allowed beyond this point." And I've had more than one person go,
"Oh,
can I come in?" I'm like, "I don't know. You
are
could
you
be
stupid?"
So you tell me.
But to John Bovey's point, Occam's razor is we've heard it from Sherlock Holmes, we've heard it from Spock. I love it when Spock says it. But the simplest answer tends to be all things being equal. The simplest answer tends to be right.
Usually,
Spock was my favorite.
Can you live long and prosper, Larry?
Yeah.
No, pull it up.
I'm a huge Spock fan.
Oh, he did it. Look at that.
Nice.
I have to prime my.
Do you know? Leonard Nimoy is Jewish, and that is a Jewish sign.
It is.
Do you know
And
that
he just did it.
today
He did it.
at my house? Tay said, "Grandma, can you do this?"
Yeah. And he did that on set as a the first time he was doing Spock. He just went, "Live long and prosper." And Roddenberry was like, "I love it. Do that. Yeah,
Really?
do that. Yeah."
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
going to
Oh,
take
I
off
wasn't
in
even
a
on
few
camera on
minutes.
you. Yeah.
For the fact that I want to just say I want to watch the
wants to be
debate
home.
by myself, but it actually, I know the Queen's going to be watching the debate as I lay there, and I can just turn away from the debate, and she'll be going, fuck me, fuck me, and I'll be like, yeah, you still got it, Coffee. Yeah. Just saying.
Sure.
That was such a guy thing to say.
But I
What was
really
that?
want to go watch
Did
that.
anybody ever see Last Action Hero? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just me
yes.
and Tim. Oh, Coffee
yeah.
saw it?
I saw it,
Last
yes.
Action.
When it's Jim Belushi's showing up to the movie premiere, and he says, and they're like, "Oh, Jim, you're here with your wife." He's like, "Yeah, well, Arnold gets her all worked up, and I just want to be there to take care of business afterwards."
Oh, right.
That's
Where-
hilarious.
yeah.
Coffee is gonna,
Anyway.
so the missus is gonna get all worked up over the debate, and then
I just make up
and
stories
Coffee's trying to.
stuff. Yeah,
Like
it'll
I
make me
said,
feel
it's a
better.
guy thing.
I have never heard her utter a single F-bomb.
Nah, she's a good lady.
She's
Anyway,
awesome.
one person
She
said,
screams it.
does anybody else want to see Larry sitting there with his hat off and holding a bucket of KFC in his arms, meaning your goatee? I've mentioned that before.
Oh yeah,
Colonel.
Yeah.
that's what it is, Larry. You came as Ted Nugent last year.
Yeah. he
You're
shaved
coming
it
as
off.
Colonel
The
Sanders
Colonel.
this year.
Yep.
I want you to have a bucket of chicken,
Gonna have to get a white,
Ted
all
just-
white.
but it has to be original recipe because he
Yeah.
hated extra crispy.
Yes,
But Ted just
I
has
hate
his
extra
today.
crispy too.
I know.
I don't like
Almost
it.
I love the extra crispy.
My
I tear
wife
that up.
loves. My wife loves the extra crispy.
Because there's
I
more
feel the
MSG in the
extra-
extra
yeah.
crispy.
Yeah, more what?
MSG.
I bet he
Oh.
said
I
more.
thought you
Pete.
said more LSD.
There could be that too. Mike Myers said that it puts an addictive chemical in it, makes you crave it at 2 a.m. You
We don't need to be-
smart ass.
We don't need to be talking about what Patrick puts up his
What are you doing? It's 8:35. Are you leaving already?
Yeah.
It's
by the time
8:35?
Tim will.
Oh my
with me
God.
If I don't take the batteries
even have-
out, put my chair down.
You're just gonna
Oh,
walk
all
off
right.
set.
He's
I
just gonna
actually
walk-
do not have break.
He's just gonna
media
walk off set.
today.
So when it comes down to 9:00, Coffee's apparently leaving now.
Pretty
Even
soon
though
I
I
have to
don't,
do
I don't
this
have anybody moderating
In
chat
fact,
now.
With the debate on, and we're reviewing the debate.
Yeah,
We're just gonna roll into it, and we're not
No,
gonna
that's
play
fine.
any break,
that's fine.
so we'll just roll right
We'll,
into it.
we'll just mute Mike so we can go and do our thing. But
Well, or we can MST3K turn the chairs around, watch on the.
Are we
big
going to
screen.
watch it on the BBC, on Fox News? On,
Yeah, we'll report it up.
I wanted to watch it on. Is it broadcast from ABC Studios? Right. Was it
I
yes,
wanna- Disney.
I
ABC
want to
got
watch it
yes.
from the original
I'm
studio
not
Disney got
watching
it.
because I don't want to hear anybody
I get-
else's commentary
I get angry.
other than a raw feed.
Oh,
I
I see.
We're
get-
doing our own commentary.
I can't do it. I'm not watching it. I get so pissed off. I'm screaming
Sure.
at that TV.
That's what I was.
And I do not need to be worked up like that.
See, that's why we tried to figure out a
I
drinking
just-
game, and
Yeah,
we
no.
realized
Yeah.
we can't do the drinking game.
Now we
Ah.
could.
Because
Because
we're
we'll be
gonna be off
The
work
last 2
tomorrow.
weeks, so
Sick.
I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just can't do it, And it's like that's not what the place where I want to be.
Okay.
You know?
We literally
I'd rather do
I
this with little Tay than
right. We walked up.
You know?
I walked up to Tim and I'm like, dude.
he laughs.
He
at
goes,
me.
"Have you thought about a drinking game for the debate?" I goes,
Because I got like 5.
Mhm.
"I'm like, yeah, but we'll be drunk." He goes, "Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the list.
Oh no!
Why we can't do the drinking game?" I'm like, "That's it." And I just started
Yeah.
writing. I'm like, "What about this one?" "Oh yeah," and he says,
so here's
"Well,
my
I goes,
five.
I goes,
Yeah.
yeah, but what about this one?" He goes, "Oh yeah,"
Yeah.
and I start writing them down. I'm like, "All right, okay, yeah." Kamala lies. Trump calls out Kamala lies.
What
Kamala
gets me
cackles.
is,
Trump
you know
does a
what?
zinger.
I think about these TV stations and stuff like Roku has a lot of hers on their commercials.
Yeah.
And I think about them and I think, God, do you producers, do you actually listen to her? Why would you put this on here?
You know, me and
The
my
integrity of your station or
money.
your business is in jeopardy as far as I'm concerned.
me and my wife sat down last night and we watched the the Kamala Harris Tampon Tim interview on CNN with Dana Bash.
All 18 minutes cut out of the 6 hours they were there.
All 18 minutes. Now you got to remember it was a fully edited interview, right? And they weren't answering questions. They weren't 18 minutes of not getting any answers.
And that's why I cannot watch.
They asked him
and she kept doing it.
specifically.
And
they asked him specifically, right? You've been accused of lying, talking about carrying weapons into war. Were you lying, or did you just misspeak? No answer.
Well, a lot of people accuse a lot of people of lying, and lying happens to be something that's not a good thing to do. And so some people do lie, and I'm not sure.
There was no.
No, did you lie?
Yep.
You know what? Sometimes people,
Hey, thanks for the salad. It
Yeah,
was
it's
good.
delish.
See you
Thanks,
later,
Coffee.
Mr. Coffee.
You better monitor chat while you're gone.
Oh, I got to work through that first screaming off. Fuck me.
Yeah,
You're so full of it.
I know.
Make sure you get your fiber.
See you later.
Make sure you get your fiber because you're full. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We already discussed that. Yeah,
Okay, so I have my chart ready.
You got your Kamala,
All right.
Kamalas.
So we have a category for small little
Uh,
lies.
turn it to the table camera to your left.
We have a category here for small little lies.
It's over here. Down here.
Huh?
There you go.
That camera.
Put it to the end of the table.
Can you
Yeah.
see it?
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
You got to be.
So we got
explicit with
small
Larry.
lies,
Yeah.
regular lies,
Yes.
and whoppers.
Whoppers.
Yes.
Sure.
So
we're
we
going
will
to
have.
grade them 1, 2, and 3.
We are going to grade them 1, 2, and 3.
Right?
That's right.
That's
Right.
really. You know what? You did good there, bud.
You know what? And I think we're
1, 2,
gonna.
and
I think we'll do a
3.
slight.
Nice.
I think we'll do a slight reset, Tim, when we go to do it.
Okay.
I didn't think about it. I think the three of us, because Grandma Connie's going to go.
Yep,
Sure.
I think me and
She
Larry and
gets too
Patrick
mad.
will all sit at the rail
I do.
and look at the big screen.
Well, you can look at the big screen, but I wanted
And
to
I
put you
don't-
on that side of
I
the
don't need that
table.
in my
Okay.
life.
Put the debate on the
I don't.
TV behind you,
Okay.
as well as what you're watching
This
is
is
up
what
there.
I catch
100%.
now.
Just put it up, on sync,
In
basically.
glimpses,
Close
and then
enough.
I'll put OAN on, or
And
watch.
so that way we'll have a visual reference behind
What's
you
the other
of
one?
what you're watching.
Very good.
But
I like it. I like it. Yes, yes, James. Grandma Connie is back. She's been back. This is third show
Yeah.
back.
This is not good for my health.
no,
They're having a conversation
I
amongst
know.
themselves.
Sorry.
Are you're the third show back, right?
no, this is only my second, right?
I
You
think I've
weren't-
used
were
you in
you
the
here
thumbnail
last week?
3 times.
No, I think you've been back 3 times.
I didn't come back last week
No, but you came. You
Second time I've been here with her.
because
And then
And you were here
gone,
1 week.
Pat.
and 1 week without him.
yeah. So it's
Yeah,
the third
this is
time back.
third.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. So
I'm
Grandma
on a
Connie's been back
roll.
for 3 weeks. Somebody named Fishing with MC says, "Hi, Larry. I'm.
I am.
No, there's an apostrophe. I am. Hi, Larry. I'm.
He
right there.
They didn't finish.
Ah.
Hi, Larry. I am.
Fishing with MC.
Let's get a couple more thumbs up on that, since we have
Yeah.
basically only 1/5 of our viewers have hit it.
Yeah, guys. There's a lot of you
Yeah.
in the chat there and watching live, and I want you to hit those
Yes,
thumbs up.
be sure and like
Get
the
that.
show. Give
So
us
we're
that
countdown
rumble.
about in the chat there. Oh yeah,
I was pulling up
there.
the feed on her.
Oh, there it is.
yeah,
Oh yeah, there.
I'm
Yeah,
now
there
in
is.
chat.
So-
there.
Oh yeah. So there's a lot of other things going on out there
Oh,
in the
yeah?
world here.
Yeah,
Let's look
there.
at this here. This is here's what we do. Here's a thing we do. When the debate is I'll wait for Tim to hit it. There it is. When the debate is lost, insults become the loser's tool.
Oh yeah, there, eh?
Yeah.
Mm,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there. Why does that guy look like? Wait.
Looks like a statue.
That statue of Socrates looks like the Cowardly Lion from The
It
Wizard of
does.
Oz.
Oh my
You're
gosh, it does.
absolutely
Yeah,
right.
it totally does.
Oh my gosh.
Well, hello to fishing.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello to fishing.
Hello.
Funny.
Ella.
Ooh,
No, we're actually now that Coffee's gone. We're actually, because Coffee was going to try
Coffee.
to not watch what we were doing while he was watching.
Yeah.
So, but when it starts, we have to insert Coffee like we've been inserting Ella. So as he's watching it, and in chat too, you guys randomly mentioned Coffee. Just random, yeah. So he'll see his
I don't know if I
name.
can last much longer. I might have to get a cup of coffee.
Ella.
No,
not
coffee.
Ella. The key word for tonight is coffee.
Ella.
Since coffee left.
You keep saying
He,
flashing this.
Dude,
there's a problem.
you're
with
so
this.
fixated.
There's a problem with it. Did you just hear the
Just,
switch?
dude.
Doesn't want to switch.
I know.
Okay, it doesn't work.
Have you studied your list? I gave you a list of like 45 terms, like
Yeah.
umbrella,
Cinderella.
Mandela.
Yeah. Hey,
Cinderella.
Switch.
Hey, you got
switch.
one.
hey, did you guys know can't afford to eat? You know that's Russian disinformation, right? That's Russian disinformation.
Okay,
Well, the
that's,
Haitians are-
now
the
you know why I yell
So
at things,
before we
'cause
get-
that's how stupid this is.
I can't afford to eat.
Before we
just-
get into the debate, before the debate starts, there's a few things that I sent you that I want to talk about.
Oh.
And one of them is
Where'd you send
known
it to, Larry?
ABC bias. Check your
Where'd you send it to? Right here?
yes. So if you go to the top story, I think it's the very first one I sent you. Or
You're
the-
supposed to
I think
send me
I-
this stuff before the show
Ah.
Yeah, so he can edit.
so I can decide whether I want to cover it. or not.
That's what I meant.
So, Larry,
Yes.
give it to us.
So, according to the report, the ABC coverage is 100% positive for Harris versus 93% negative for Trump.
Where's your microphone, Larry?
Okay.
Don't be
Is it on?
fooled by media
Just
bias
quiet.
or misinformation.
He's good. It's in a good spot. Just needs to be turned up.
So
So
what is
what that
that?
says for the ABC coverage is
Fake news.
their million viewers, probably what,
Right.
2% of that, 1% of that, not even 1% of it. Wait, no. We want to read that right there. World News
ABC
Tonight has an overall positive spin on its reporting of Vice President Kamala Harris. Blah 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 blah. Puke. I did put that in the notes. Did you guys see that on the latest brain freeze debate coverage with a Trump flag and a puke bucket? The Trump flag's for Trump. The
Oh.
puke bucket is for the other person. Yeah.
Oh, Kakala?
Cackling Kamala, commie Kamala. Anyways, yeah, of course they're going to be positive. So here's the thing. There's going to be more viewership on true media, honest media, by the millions that are picking up the ABC feed than will be on ABC.
Yeah, last time at the last debate, I forget who hosted the last debate.
CNN, I thought.
CNN.
CNN?
Yep.
Yeah.
CNN had like 3 million viewers.
And Fox News like doubled it.
Jack Posobiec had 12 million on his X feed. And what was he doing on there? Mocking Biden and cheering Trump.
Yeah.
Steven Crowder had millions of views. Live watch parties. Because it's fun to mock these partisan hacks while they're doing their shit.
And I don't think Crowder's co-host even made it to the end of the
No,
debate.
because they chose to do a drinking game.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
Foolishly.
They were lit.
Foolishly. And they picked probably the one, they're like Biden gaffes. Oh, fuck. We're drunk in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
So what's this one, Larry? Biden lied.
Yes. Biden lied when he pulled U.S. forces out of Afghanistan against military advice.
Well,
that guy?
He actually pulled the military out of Afghanistan against the advice of the military.
Beady-eyed pedophile Biden did that?
But he claimed that's why he did it.
Come on, man.
That it was general support.
Come on, man.
He claimed
Come
that he
on.
had their support and he didn't.
Come on, man.
Wow.
Hey, man. You're a dog-faced pony soldier.
Yeah, I mean, there's no surprise with that scumbag. He's
You're a dog-faced pony soldier.
yeah.
U.S. Biden was adamant.
I was gonna say, what?
I put an R in there.
All right. Adamant.
Adamant on getting out of Afghanistan, comma, and ignore the advice of U.S. military, comma, quotation, end of statement. And Afghanistan government and NATO. It was revealed in the House Foreign Affairs Committee report, September 8th. Who's that guy? Priest who led the Vedic prayer while they were doing abortions outside. During his decades-long tenure at the Delaware U.S. Delaware U.S. Senator, 8 years as vice president, nearly 4 years as president. Mr. Biden has demonstrated distrust of the American military experts and advisors and has prioritized Ukraine and Israel in his personal legacy over the interest of our own national security. The 300-page report. What? Reveal.
How does that go in New York's attack?
Oh.
Yeah.
The Green Goblin's attacking New York.
Mr. President, what is it? Green Goblin is attacking New York City. What? He's causing mass destruction right now. Should we alert Spider-Man? No! Send $50 billion to Israel right now.
And $100 billion to Ukraine.
While you're at it.
Let's do it.
This is something to remember. I sent this to you.
On over here?
Yeah.
All right, switch me, Tim. Thank you, sir. Because Larry's got two more that he tries to shoehorn in here.
Of course.
Yes, Alan Dershowitz has
Because this
has left
is
the Democrat
23rd
Party.
anniversary of this. And so
tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow. But it's saying
9/11. Yeah.
it's saying tonight 20. What is it?
All right, here we are. Tonight, 23 years ago, 246 people went to sleep in preparation for their morning flights. 2,606 people went to sleep in preparation for their work in the morning. 343 firemen went to sleep in preparation for their morning shifts. 60 police officers went to sleep in preparation for their morning patrol. 8 paramedics went to sleep in preparation for their morning shifts. None of them saw past 10 a.m. on September 11th, 2001, not one. In a single moment, life may never be the same. As you live and enjoy the breaths you take today and tonight before you go to sleep in preparation for the life tomorrow, kiss the ones you love, snuggle a little tighter, and never take 1 second of your life for granted. Excellent.
Amen.
A little side commentary to that looking back at it today, 23 years later, that this seriously looks like it was a planned program. Just the way these buildings came down.
Yep.
Just
no matter what you believe in, and I believe wholeheartedly it was planned, but no matter where you fall on it, just looking at the aftermath, the Patriot Act, which was not patriotic, that has done more to persecute those in our homeland that are
citizens. Yeah.
The Unpatriot Act?
The Unpatriot Act.
The unpatriotic
This
act.
was the catalyst to do it. Two
Sure.
Unjustified wars. If we believe the narrative of the government, if you just go with the narrative of the government, 14 of the 19 terrorists were from Saudi Arabia. Did we do anything to Saudi Arabia? Did we put sanctions on them? Did we restrict them? Did we do anything to them? No, we went into Iraq. That had nothing to do with it. We also went into Afghanistan because we claimed that they were housing or sheltering bin Laden.
You didn't hear
But
what we did.
bin Laden and his family were flown out of Texas by the Bush administration because the bin Ladens were the primary builders throughout the Middle East.
Yep.
But we don't talk about that. You just look at, no matter what you think about any of these things that I believe to be a lot of them are false flags.
Cheney's organization.
Look at the outcome and then go to Halliburton.
Yeah.
And then look at the outcome of it and go to Rahm Emanuel, who says you never want to let a good crisis go to waste. Right. So whether they invent the crisis or just capitalize on the crisis. Bill Clinton said that the Oklahoma City bombing saved his presidency and got him his second term.
Yep,
you know why?
did.
Because all of the records from Whitewater that would have brought down Hillary and Bill for their money laundering scams and embezzlements.
Guess where they were?
Guess where they were? The Mirror Building in Oklahoma City. You look at the aftermath and the fallout of all these things, whether our government did them or whether they just capitalize on somebody who did them.
Oh, guess what's
It's
in
the
the office
outcome.
of the Pentagon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The day before the Pentagon was hit during this time at 9/11, guess where that
The evidence
plane
of the missing
hit?
money that was lost.
In the record-keeping place where Donald Rumsfeld would come out and said, we can't account for, what, $10 trillion?
Crazy.
Something crazy. He's like, there's trillions of dollars missing. We can't account for them. We don't know where the money went. We don't have any records of it. And the next day, that exact spot in the building destroys all the records. They don't have to figure it out anymore. It's done. Pockets lined. Move on. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, the Bin Ladens were the Halliburton of construction in the Middle East.
All right, quickly, Larry, we'll do these last two with you.
Yeah,
last two, because
one
Grandma's got to do her
yep.
final thoughts, and we're going to move on.
Yep. Which one you want to do first? Harris told ACLU she supports ICE cuts, taxpayer-funded transgender surgeries for detained migrants and also prisoners.
Oh, let me see here, Larry, because you're hitting me with all sorts of stuff that's not in my show notes there, guy.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, what do we got?
Waltz? Oh, that one. We'll do that one first.
Yeah. Well, it's at the bottom of the list. I'll take it top.
Yeah.
What's this one, Larry?
This is Governor Waltz helped secure funding for the research center that worked with the Chinese lab linked to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, then there's that guy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of a foolish man. Kind of a dick.
Dum-dum.
What's this one here? CNN told Harris that she was cool, but she wasn't.
Yeah, CNN Harris told ACLU she supports ICE cuts, taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants and prisoners.
Oh, is this the lady that locked up multiple people? I want to hear her say something about Donald Trump being a criminal, and Donald go, well, you should know you've locked up many innocent people.
And let go.
Yes,
that'll be a zinger. I'll slam a shot too.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, one more, Larry.
That was it.
That was it.
That was it. And then there's
holy sanctimonious.
Was there something else I sent you?
No more, Larry. You're cut off.
No more. You're cut
Yeah.
off. Yeah. Waltz helped. Yeah, I think that was it.
That's it.
Wow.
All right, Grandma Connie. Final thoughts before we let you go tonight. Oh, here. This is a great one for Kamala tonight.
I put a link to Harris talking about the border if you want to show that to everybody. Harris talking about
here we
the
go.
border.
Here's cackling Kamala. I can't afford to live. What will you do to help me? I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I'm speaking now.
And she'll bounce her head.
I'm speaking now. I'm speaking now. It's my turn.
Isn't she giving you the appearance that she's just so happy?
I'm speaking now.
That's happy.
I said it downstairs. I told you guys I figured out how to. I was struggling on how to do Kamala because it takes to do impressions. You gotta get into the mindset of people, and I have to drop so many IQ points to get into the mindset of this lady that just fucks me up. And so I'm like, all right, wait a minute. And then I looked over and I goes, wait a minute, it's Valley Girl.
I think
It's Valley Girl.
Her IQ is less than Biden's.
What? Less
Her
than Biden's?
IQ, less than Biden's.
Before or after his dementia kicked in?
After.
Okay.
I don't know, but I can almost be asleep, and her voice irritates the shit out of me.
So I was like, how do I do her voice? I want to be able to do her voice so I can accurately do it, but I don't want to
Valley Girl.
And I'm like, Valley Girl. I'm like, and so we want to look at the way everybody is taught. You must be unburdened by what has been so that we can go forward with what might be. And the wheels on the bus, they go round and round because that's the bus.
And yeah, nice.
And Donald Trump's a liar.
Yeah.
When I was a young girl growing up somewhere in the world, my mom worked really, really hard. And she was...
Is it mine?
Yeah. It's working now.
Is it working now?
Yeah, you give it a little slap. Grandma Connie, give us your final thoughts.
Well, so my final thoughts are, you know what? You better pay attention because we could be screwed if you don't pay attention.
This lady's going to try to screw us over.
Come on. She's already screwed us a little bit. As far as I'm concerned, I can't listen to a word she says.
Yeah.
I have a real hard time with her voice. And God forgive me, I'm not trying to be critical or anything like that. But when you hear somebody blatantly lie and you don't see it, then I scratch my head at the people that want to support her.
I want to see it.
No, exactly. They want to jump in on the same bus, you know, and that's what he was talking about at the beginning of the show. The money, you know, well, look where she's got herself. She didn't get herself by not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
She did something.
Oh yeah, spread eagle.
Well, it doesn't matter. Look where she's at. You know, she's made her moves, and she's the vice president of the United States, whether you like it or not. And therefore, she has a voice.
But look,
she's out here.
When
I'll
she
be a great cook when I become the head chef.
Yeah.
Well,
when she becomes the head cook, then everything will be fixed. Until then, she burns all the shit to the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nothing to see here.
And we're not going to talk about it.
No.
Because what has been has been.
Yeah. What?
You need to be
I don't even-
Unburdened by
Yeah.
what has been.
Just don't worry about that part.
Right, yeah.
Don't worry that I've screwed you in that, you know, everything's 30% higher and
30. Some of us 45.
well,
80,
and I know,
yeah.
but I mean, on
Well, it
average,
depends- it depends-
everything's
yeah.
30% off.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Well,
Yeah.
the number they gave on the news this morning was 23%. They say if you average everything out, you're paying 23% more than you were paying under Trump. But the truth is, you're paying more than that, like for gas and for groceries. Certain grocery items were absolutely ridiculous. Of what
So
it's like I stopped buying bread for a while. We go in there. Me and my wife go in there, and she says, "Here's your bread." And I'll look at the price, and I'll say, "Put it back." She says, "But that's the only bread you eat." I said, "That's okay. I won't eat bread. I'm not going to pay that for
But you know
Put
what,
it
Bernie?
back. I don't want it."
You know what Bernie Sanders said, right? Bernie, are you a Bernie bro?
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders said, you know what? People criticize bread lines. At least you got bread. You should be happy you got bread. They're saying the bread lines are bad. I'd say bread lines are good because at least you got bread. You know, you got bread. There's too many choices when you go in a store. Why should you have 10 different deodorants? 1 or 2.
That's why all these people want to come to America. They think they can
got
have
choices?
everything. And then guess what? We give them stuff.
Yeah.
Or they take it.
Dude, they're shelling out. Listen,
Yeah, they're taking over buildings.
did we cover it on this show last
No,
week?
You either give it to us or
Or
we'll
did I
take
just
it.
note it? They're shutting down or putting a pause on Section 8 housing. Did I cover that last week?
No.
Pause on Section 8 housing right now, Section 8 funding. 85,000 people on the waiting list for Section 8 housing in the state of Michigan. They're putting a pause on it because they don't have enough funds. But Governor Whitmer got how much, Larry? 110 million for newcomers, for illegals coming in? But we don't have enough money for our actual citizens. And I'm not a big fan of Section 8, but the vast majority of people that use Section 8 need it.
Handicapped people.
100%.
Yeah.
And on that level, I say, you know what? A wealthy society should be able to take care of the people. Now, I can't stand the people that abuse those systems and don't get off their asses when they can. But people that can't, and plus we make a lot of people sick. Pharma likes to keep people sick so they can siphon off money. That all aside, they paused a legitimate help in our country or in our state of Section 8 housing. And most Section 8 housing, Section 8 only covers part of it. You have to pay part of your rent,
Right.
but you get help on your rent.
Right.
And there are people that sign up for it.
Right.
85,000 people signed up and they put a pause on it because we don't have enough money. Where's our money going? When I know it was in their budget that Whitmer wanted to put it towards illegals.
Well, they're saying now Canada is the new southern border. They got many people come across Canadian border. That we got come across.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little known secret that that Canada is the #1 training area for the CCP.
Really?
The Army. Yeah. All right, we're gonna. What do I just?
I'll play the rest of that Harrison call.
That's good. Let's do that, and we'll take our little break, reset, say goodbye to Grandma off air, and we will be back to get this debate started. As much I'm gonna enjoy Trump and cringe at Kamala, and we'll be back in just a few, guys.
I am not gonna
figure
watch.
it out.
Gmail, we're gonna miss you.
Well,
Media.
The way coffee described.
Yeah, why do I not have sound on this? Oh, here we go.
Subjects that are kind of taboo, and you do it on your show with a little bit more of a long form. So I really
All right, we'll be
appreciate
right back,
that
guys.
because Alex is so rapid fire, and then of course Owen gets spicy on his stuff too. But you tend to bring these up, and I woke up this morning and of course kicked you guys on. I listen all day. I love the products, Bodies, Nitric Boost, Brain Force, Turbo Force. Got to have those to play hockey. And I'm from Howell, Michigan, where Trump came and visited, and it was all of that, hoopla about us being white supremacists, which we had one guy, a grand wizard, and it was so stupid.
Like 40 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I love Trump's response. Like, who was here in 2021? Oh, yeah, Biden. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's hilarious. But I didn't know about this interview with Tucker and was it Daryl Cooper? And it's this whole taboo that you can't touch the Holocaust. You can't even approach it. The previous caller talked about, was there really 6 million? Could they have the capacity to even do that amount of gassing and burning up the bodies and stuff? And no matter what, it's this hype. And then when you take it and you attach it to one of these things like AOC attaching global warming or climate change to immigrants, and now they're going to attach it, well, they're refugee seekers, just like the Holocaust. We're going to have another Holocaust if we don't see this whole thing. It's this whole gaslighting and hype, and it's so taboo. You're not allowed to question it at all. And it's amazing to me that it's so ingrained. Even on my show, I have a show that I do at least once a week, and my co-hosts, we got into an argument, and I had my producer cut the feed at about an hour in. We usually do 3 hours because they were arguing with me, and all I was doing was trying to say this whole conflict in between Gaza and Israeli conflict was, there's two sides to this. This is not just a cut and dried Israel has a right to defend itself. And that's what they were shouting back at me. And I said, guys, Israel has a history of provoking people around them. And they were, it was just all this garbage around it. And so I love the fact that you brought it up. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I want to bring up. And you brought up Nick Fuentes. And I bring up Gina Carino, that she got kicked off of Star Wars because she just made an inference like the Holocaust. And they were so up in arms, they fired her off the show, and she didn't even know about it. It was in a tweet that she got notified.
Right.
And so this whole sacred cow that we can't touch is ridiculous. We have to have open discussions. We have to be able to say, you know what? The Holocaust happened. People died. It was horrific. But there's also a whole bunch of hype that's over magnified it. And then you're attaching it to these other incidences within society and within our history that don't really apply. And then you're trying to say, I can't talk about any of those subjects because we've attached this issue to it. It's ridiculous.
Right. I agree. And that's why I made it at the beginning of the show, sort of the point to separate like the historical reality, which is history and has to be able to question, and then the way it's portrayed in conversation in politics today, which is it has all the elements of a religious dogma. And, you've got essentially an inquisition out there saying, like, if you dare to question, the dogma of our religion, you are a heretic, a blasphemer, and you must be destroyed. And that's not America. We don't have a state religion. You're allowed to question. You're allowed to even be openly insulting and derogative of people's firmly held beliefs. It's a very small price to pay for what we get in return, which is the ability to know the truth, tell the truth, and think for ourselves. So, some people have to be offended for that to be the case. It's a small price to pay for freedom itself, for like literally being able to think our own thoughts. Some people get offended, and that's just the case. It's just how it has to be. So, thank you for your input, Jeremy. And look, I can come up here and talk about the most verboten subjects in the world because I start with a very simple, resolute, foundational premise, which is loving everybody and wanting to know the truth. And so why shouldn't I talk about anything and everything? And why should I be afraid of touching some third rail and getting shocked? There's no reason to avoid any of these topics. It's especially when these topics are invoked in the modern day to do things like opening the border. I mean, this is ridiculous. You're going to use it to justify political decisions today, but I can't question the foundation of that political decision. This is not right. So I'm an American. I get to question or talk about whatever the hell I want, and of course, recognize that also is an obligation to not be flippant or nonsensical about any of this. Which again is the danger, is that if the only story you're telling is an incomplete one, people are going to be looking for what they're not being told, and if the only people out there who are willing to engage in this topic are the ones who go, yes, the Holocaust wasn't real, but it should have been, it's like, we don't want to be on either one of these extremes. You get to talk about it, but you have to understand that people died, and people that are alive now saw their family die. And so, you just treat it with, I think, of it. I refuse to be scared of it. And I have to ask myself, people that are alive now saw their family die. And so, you just treat it with, I think, of it. I refuse to be scared of it. And I have to ask myself, am I not talking about this because I'm scared? And if so, time to get over that. Thank you for the call, Jeremy. Let's go to...
So, of course, I went to the shot with 3 empty chairs as we're getting set up for this debate. Viewing Rant, the guys are getting themselves squared away. I wanted to remind everyone we have a pair of QR codes. Those are on the screen for you right there. In fact, I wanted to update y'all in chat that there is a website on the way. We had the T-shirt sales going for
Since
a while.
1917, where 100 million people died. Has there been anything like
audio? That's fine. Yeah, so we're gonna bring up the audio to the debate and then talk over the top of it and go to the other shot here with the guys. But I was just mentioning, you're still muted. I was just mentioning the website setup for the T-shirts will be coming again, and I'll get back onto some of those. But yeah, I had to do a bunch of Squarespace hosting.
Okay.
So that's what I was telling chat, is just updating them. So that URL will be working again. It is still just a splash page. So we're waiting for Mr. Acton to come back to the table.
Yep, we're going to rewind this.
And we're going to rewind the debate. Let me finish up with what else is going on. There is actually a source of behind the scenes footage we will be doing over at Locals. Locals is if you're on the Rumble webpage, you can join the Locals, and it actually allows us to increase the amount of time we can do over there, and in the way of how much we can broadcast on Locals as special footage. We'll mic everyone up, and you can join us during even the meal as we're running around frantically trying to get prepared for a show. Over there is the plan for that. And the more people that join, we go from a half hour to 90 minutes to, an hour and 20 or an hour, 9, whatever it is, to 2 hours, and then eventually unlimited. So if we are waiting for anything else, I guess it would be, last but not least, the Twitch link. It is This Is My Brain podcast. You can clip some of the show from there. And then, of course, This Is My Brain host at outlook.com is Larry's email. For the purpose of writing in for any particular reason or non-particular, it is your choice.
It's your choice, baby.
Oh, so there's Jeremy. He's back.
There it is.
And we'll come over here to the wall and strip all that stuff away.
Bing, bing, bang, bong, bang, bing, bong. All right, so you're gonna hit the rewind for us. If you guys are switched over and you're watching live, that's fine. That's your thing. If you're still tuned in with us, we're gonna back it up and start right from the beginning. Tim, do you have that?
Do I have what?
That capability
to back up from where?
To the beginning of it.
On what device?
I thought you were going to be able to do it on yours.
To watch on the TV behind you or on the broadcast in front of you?
Does it? No, just so we have the audio
from the beginning of the.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And I said if you were going to watch on somebody else's Rumble feed. Like if it's being streamed on Rumble.
Oh, okay.
And I can't do it on this computer. It would be
All right, we'll just start listening.
Gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response. And you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out. When a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, ! When we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy, but
I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
She'd change it, and it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion.
Is this one of these loaded questions? Like, when did you stop beating your wife?
Therefore, why should they
It feels
trust
like
you?
that
The
setup.
reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, He said the
Trump
baby
slips in a
will be
compliment.
born and we will decide what
That's
to
in their
do with the
biggest
baby. In
word.
other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions, very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years.
This is a great explanation
Every
that he's
legal
given right here.
scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote.
100%.
And that's what happened. Now, Ohio,
Because her question started with
the vote
you
was
killed
somewhat
it. He
liberal.
didn't kill it. He passed it in
Kansas,
states.
the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal
Even
than people
Ruth
would have thought.
Bader Ginsburg
But
wanted it back in the
each
states.
individual
True.
state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response
Really?
to President Trump.
Wait,
Well, as I
is the
said, you're gonna hear a
commentator
bunch of
debating
lies.
now?
Are you
And
debating? That's a
not
fucking
actually
lie.
a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade.
The protections.
They did exactly
to-
as he
to
intended.
murder babies?
And now in
Protection of the
over
murder babies.
20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care in one state
true.
that
That's a
provides
lie.
prison for life.
Not true.
That's a lie.
Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and
Not true.
incest, which
Healthcare. Not
understand
true.
what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body
Which
does
is
not have the right to make a decision
0.03%.
about what happens to their body
Rest of
next.
it's
That
birth
is
control
immoral.
and murder.
And one does not have
Immoral.
to
She's going to
abandon
call it
their
immorality.
faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government and Donald Trump certainly should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked
Another
with women
lie.
around our country. You want to talk about
Wait,
this
so
is
Roe
what
v. Wade
people
tells a
wanted?
woman what she can do with her body
Pregnant women who
from
want
the
to
Supreme
carry
Court, but
a pregnancy to term,
individual states
suffering
can't
from a
do it. That government
miscarriage,
can't
being
tell.
denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot.
Oh, you're so full
She
of
didn't
shit.
want that. Her husband didn't want that.
The brains in
A
the way.
12
I
or
love the fact that he
13-year-old
won't look at her.
survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly
That would be
sign it
unconstitutional.
into
If
law.
Roe versus
But
Wade is
understand,
unconstitutional,
if
what
Donald
she's
Trump were
talking
to be
about is
reelected, he
unconstitutional.
will sign a national abortion ban.
No, he
Understand,
won't.
in
No,
his
he
Project
won't. It
2020
would be
You're such a fucking
unconstitutional.
liar. National
That's another lie.
abortion,
That's a whopper.
monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American
He's
people
about to get the
believe
chance to say
that
I
certain
wouldn't do a
freedoms,
national
in
abortion.
particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank
Right.
you.
That's
about
another
that
lie.
vaccine?
That's
There she
another
goes
lie.
again.
That's
It's
a
a
small
lie.
lie, but it's still a
I'm
lie.
not signing a ban, and there's
We're
no
already at
reason to
8.
sign a ban because
Frank, you
we've
just called
gotten
out her
what
lie.
everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban. but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe.
Yep.
The student loans, and then I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got
he doesn't need to spend time
taunted
on
with
Biden.
this whole thing about this whole
He needs to
idea.
get back to her.
And how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans.
Deflecting?
They can never get this
he's
approved.
drawing a parallel.
So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress.
He's drawing a
Wonderful. Let's go
parallel
to
in order to
Congress, do it.
diffuse their
But the
fucking
fact is
argument
that
of abortion.
For years, they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris,
That's
I want to
a
give you
huge
time
statement.
to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening.
You're
It's
a fucking
insulting
liar.
That's another
to the
lie.
women
That's
of
a whopper.
America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who
They're not
pray
Donald
There is no
and-
Donald.
and-
That's a
and
whopper.
dream of
That's
having
funny
a
how they're now
family
branded.
are being denied
branding
IVF
everything.
treatments.
The Trump
What
Bullshit.
is happening in our country? Working people, working women.
Working
who
women.
are
You mean
working one or
prostitutes?
two
What are you saying?
jobs,
I don't think
who
you're
can
saying
barely
prostitutes. Did you say
afford
prostitutes?
childcare as it is.
Working women.
Have to
Women
travel
working-
to
working
another
women.
state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not,
Hey, did
the
Coffee hear
majority of
that?
Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own
This is
body.
this is their
and
number
that
one
is
plank.
why
This is
in
their
every
number one
state where
thing.
this issue has
Can
been on the
we
ballot
kill
in
a
red
baby
and blue
up
states
to a
both,
certain point?
the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question? Would you
because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question, would you veto?
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former
Another lie.
governor of
Said
Virginia.
it's not
The
true.
former governor of Virginia said,
we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the
He was
baby.
waiting to bring that in.
"Oh shit,
We're going to
yeah."
turn now to immigration and border
Thank
security.
you.
We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America.
And what did you do?
We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
Holy
So I'm the only
shit.
person on this stage
That's a great
who
question.
has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill.
That's a
which
lie.
I
They did
supported.
not. There was no
And
border
that
security
bill would
bill.
have put
It was an
1,500 more
amnesty bill.
border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job.
You mean this
It
is
would
after
have allowed us to
Biden
stem the
canceled
flow of fentanyl
the finishing
coming
of the
into the
wall?
United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have
Trump
been
is being
personally
completely
affected
composed? I
by
love
the
him.
surge of fentanyl in our country.
I don't have to be.
That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
Projection through confession through projection.
At a time
Another lie. That's a
where
whopper.
the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses
The border
problems
was not
at
a problem
hand.
when I was
But
in
what
office.
we have in
Became
the
a
former
problem
president is someone who
after-
would prefer
he's
to
gonna-
run
he's
on a
gonna
problem
shred
instead
her.
of fixing a problem.
Watch
And I'll
the
tell you
shred.
something. He's going to talk
There's
about
a face.
immigration a lot
There's a
tonight,
face.
even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies because it's a really interesting thing to watch.
It is.
You will see
You
during
don't
the
have to
course of
invite.
his rallies,
There's 30,
he talks
40,000
about
people that
fictional
show up
characters
every
like
fucking
Hannibal
time.
Lecter.
And you know who shows up to
He will
yours?
talk about
Nobody,
windmills
unless you have
causing
some
cancer.
celebrity
And what
artist.
you will
Or
also
they
notice
bus 'em
is
in.
that people
Bus 'em
start
in.
leaving his rallies early
No.
out of exhaustion and boredom.
Yeah, because they go
And
for
I will tell
hours
you,
and
the one
hours
thing
and
you will
hours
not
if that
hear
were
him talk
true.
about is you.
They leave
You
yours
will
as soon
not
as
hear
you
him
show
talk
up on
about
stage.
your needs, your dreams, and your and your desires.
Another lie.
And I'll tell you,
That's
I
another
believe you
whopper.
deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President
Bullshit.
Harris, thank you. President Trump,
From
on
day
that point, I
one.
want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there.
Zinger!
And then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics.
The best
That's because
rallies of
people
all
want to
time.
take their country back.
Better rallies.
Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals
Interfering
within
with
the
them, that's
immigrant
ABC
community.
bias.
I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
the people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying
manager.
their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Donald Trump
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
Cackle, cackle. Shit, I
one
got
of
a
the
drink
reasons
now.
why in this election I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member
Not really
Liz
a glowing
Cheney.
endorsement I would approve
And
of.
if you
Guy's
wanna
got a
really
mechanical
know
heart and a heart
the
on for
inside
war.
track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we
I don't know, we had lower
listen
gas.
to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues
gas,
that affect the
cheap
American
groceries,
people are
You
not
could have
being
fixed 3.5
addressed,
years ago.
I think the choice is clear in this election.
Yeah, it is.
President Trump will give you a quick minute to respond
Yeah.
here.
Thank you. Because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they? But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier. So let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country.
Yeah,
But
because they stopped recording.
recording.
They were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President.
Well, I think this is so rich. Coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big
Was all
court
our list.
appearance is
All
in
on the
November
list.
at his
All on the
own
list.
criminal sentencing. And let's be clear.
Yeah.
Where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts.
Because the federal government is bloated.
So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same
unburdened by what has been.
rhetoric and address
I'm burdened by what is bad. We got to move forward.
Address what
We
we
got to
need
move
to
forward.
do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for. Address
Oh, you got a
what
plan?
we must do
What
to
is it?
support
Why don't you
our
do it
small
now?
businesses. Address
When does your
bringing
plan
down the
start?
price of groceries.
How come you haven't done it?
Why don't you
frankly,
sit back?
The American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. Yep. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response to
Truth bomb.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place.
Oh, extreme?
The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States.
Well,
lie.
That's lie.
Oh,
Fucking
liar.
man.
His political enemies.
That is
someone
a double
who has
whopper.
openly
Yeah.
expressed disdain for members of our military.
Wow.
Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now
They
the
didn't
court
rule
won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him.
On Donald Trump,
It's
they
up to
ruled
the
on the
American
presidency,
people.
the
Stop him.
offices of the president.
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy
President
with a fake Russia investigation
We do have a lot to
that
get-
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing
question.
border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have
We
so
call
many
that
of your policy
being a
positions
flip-flop.
changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of the, at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not
You're
banned
on fucking
fracking.
record
That's
saying
a
you're
lie.
going to ban
There
fracking.
you go. That's
I was
another
the
whopper.
tie-breaking vote
I'm running
on the
out of
Inflation
space for
Reduction
whoppers.
Act,
On fucking
which
record
opened
saying
new
she was going to ban
leases
it.
for fracking. My position is
Trump's
that we
face.
have
I love
got
it.
to invest in diverse
Got
sources
another
of
Trump
energy
face.
so we reduce our
We
reliance
would be
on
so
foreign oil.
stoned right now.
We have had
Oh,
the
yeah.
largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil.
Oh, you
it
mean
relates
shutting
to my
down the
values, let me
Keystone
tell you, I
Pipeline,
grew
day
up
one?
a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and
invoking
saved
family now.
and was able to buy our first
Sob
home when
story.
I was a teenager.
Yeah.
The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed
One of
Have
the
had no
$100
bearing
million
on the
a
last 3.5
silver
years,
platter
apparently.
and then filed bankruptcy 6 times
heart
is a value that I
heartstring
bring to my work
the heart
to say we are going to
would have
work
been
with
in
the
the- every
private
time
sector
Kamala
and home
strings
builders
strums the
to
heartstring.
increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term.
Yeah, owned by
My
BlackRock.
That is related to having a
Well,
friend when I
or
was in high
Vanguard.
school who
Or
was
Vanguard,
sexually
or State
assaulted by her
Street.
Or State Street.
stepfather.
Yeah.
And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a
right.
value
Or
that is
owned by
deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is
bullshit.
based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up
Joy.
and not beating people down.
Joy.
And name calling. The true measure of the leader is the
The
leader
biggest
who
name
actually
caller on the
understands
planet
the
is
strength is
saying,
not in
is
beating people
complaining
down,
about
it's in
name
lifting
calling.
people up.
I should have had a
intend to be
hypocrisy.
that president.
President Trump, your
Well,
response?
first of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking
That's a
now.
lie.
If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, fuck yeah. Called
She
her
went
out.
out
That's a whopper.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish one thing, so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead. Fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400, 500 acres of desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that we
for the
have to get
environment,
to.
as
We're
she
out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home.
Context.
Anything you
He
regret
said
about what
peacefully,
you did on that day?
patriotically march.
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically. I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do
There's
this
the New
group
Yorker.
of people that have
It's
been
a
treated
disgrace.
so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border.
That's
In fact,
a
she
lie.
said at the beginning,
She nodded her head.
I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it. But
let me just
when
ask
are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle? They went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask
you. You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes, sir.
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know.
She should have asked for help.
I said, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was
100%. Fuck yeah.
But I do want Vice President Harris to respond.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the president of the United States incited a violent mob.
Bullshit. You're a fucking liar.
Our
That's a
nation's
whopper.
capital. To desecrate
Violent
our
mobs were
nation's
throughout the
capital. On
summer
that day,
of love.
140 law enforcement officers were injured. And some died.
Bullshit.
And understand,
Some died,
the
she said.
former
Yeah,
president
later
has been indicted and
Heart
impeached
attack.
Heart attack.
for
from
exactly
heart-related
that
problems.
reason. But this is not an isolated situation.
Was it just one?
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And
Probably
what
propped
did
up by the Democrat
president
Party,
then at the time
paid
say?
by George Soros.
They'll find people on each side.
Okay.
Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the president said, the
Proud
former
Boys aren't a
president said,
militia.
stand
That
back
is a
and stand
bold-faced
by.
lie.
So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th
It's a
was,
medium line.
The hype
I
of
say
January 6th?
we don't have to go back.
No,
Let's
because
not
then you
go
would.
back. We're not going
Don't go
back.
back. Don't go
It's
back
time
because
to
you might
turn
find
the
out what actually
page.
happened.
And if that was a bridge too
Turn the
far for
page.
you, well, there is a
Ignore what has
place
been.
What
Move
has
on
been.
to what
our
can be.
Unburdened.
campaign for you
Let's
to
unburden
stand
the truth of what happened
for
on June 6th.
country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule
We're not a
of law,
democracy, stupid
and
bitch.
to end the chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the
Dude,
foundations
he's just
of our
thinking of like,
democracy because
well,
you
how
don't
do I
There
want
want
is
to
people
no
respond?
approach. That is a
and be clear
bold-faced lie.
on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate,
Do you hear the
has said in this election there will be a
the Obama
bloodbath
in her?
if this and the outcome of this election
Just
is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back.
Yeah.
Let's chart a
Let's
course
not watch the videos
the
of what actually
future
happened on January
and not
6th.
go backwards.
Let's
to
not
the
go
past.
backwards and look
Let
at
me
what
just
actually
follow up
happened.
here.
Stephen
It was
Crowder.
a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of
Do
bed.
an executive
You'll wake him
order.
up at 4:00 in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down
Wake
to the
him
office.
up
Let's
at
sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people,
I wanna-
unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in.
Truth.
Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple
Hey,
of
when
weeks
did you
leading
stop
up to
beating
this
your
debate,
wife?
you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
Are
said
you,
that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say that.
sarcastically.
But
You know
those-
that. It was said, we lost by a whisker.
we
That
lost
was
by a
said
whisker.
sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval.
The 10
I
days.
got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls. And we have to have it. We have to have borders. And we have to have good elections.
Yep.
Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out
That's
here,
because
as
you're
clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases.
I'm going to get another
many
fucking
judges,
drink.
many of them
No judge
Republican,
looked at it.
and said
They
there was
said
no
we didn't have
widespread fraud.
standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We
Michigan.
have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter. Because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes
That's not what he
did
just
not
said.
lose
He
the
said it said it
election.
sarcastically.
Fuck you.
That was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do
Stolen.
want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple
YouTube
of
can
days.
suck
This
a
was a post
cock.
from
You're
President
stolen.
Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will
100%.
include long-term prison sentences. One of your
100%.
campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
No, who cares?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that.
How many votes
But
did you
we
get?
cannot afford to have a president
No.
of the United States
Fired by 81 million
who
ballots.
attempts,
They weren't
as
really
he did
people.
in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the
Biden
world
can't
as
get
vice
the
president
lie.
of the United States.
That's a
And
whopper.
world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump.
No, they're not.
I have
Bullshit.
talked with military
They're
leaders.
laughing at you,
some of whom
Cackle.
worked with you. And they say you're a disgrace.
They're laughing at what's happened to
And
Donald
when you
Trump because
then
they can't
talk
believe it.
in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases
That's
you
appeal
have
to ridicule.
lost
That's a logical
because
fallacy.
you did in fact lose that election. It leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's
Oh.
deeply troubling.
That's
and the
appeal to
American people
ridicule.
deserve better.
Oh, you're going to get hammered.
Appeal
I'll give
to
you 1 minute
ridicule.
respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline.
That was Exxon. I kept
XL
saying
pipeline in our country.
what
He
I kept
ended
saying.
that. But he let the
I was saying the other
Russians
one.
build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban
Keystone
said it.
Keystone.
He said the most
It was
respected, most
XL
feared
Keystone. I said
person
Keystone. Yeah.
is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I
up.
think we're going to do very well.
Turning now to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians.
God, if we had to do a drinking game up here.
9 months ago, now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians
Dude,
are dead. Nearly
I'm just
100
sipping.
hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister
I'm
Benjamin
gonna go crack a
Netanyahu
bottle of
said
wine.
there's not a deal in
You
the
know, how
making.
many lives
President
did we
Biden
miss
has
in the
not been able
I
to break
smell
through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well,
So did we
let's
miss
understand
20
how we
minutes
got
of
here.
this?
On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization,
Provoked.
slaughtered 1,200 Israelis, many of them
After
young
400
people
years of
who
war.
were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so, absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed.
You know what? You're right.
Children, mothers.
Israel has the right to defend itself.
What we know is
Against
that
the Palestinians.
this war must
Don't send
end.
my fucking money over
It
there.
must end immediately, and the way it will end is
Don't
we
send my
need
money
a
to Ukraine.
ceasefire deal.
Don't
and we
send my
need
money
the
to any of these
hostages
other
out.
fucking countries.
And
Fix
so
our
we will
country.
continue to work around the clock on that.
Why?
Work
That's
around
not
the
our
clock,
fucking
also
country.
Understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution, and in that
There is no-
solution, there
It's not
must
our
be
country.
security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing
We're gonna
I
make
will
Israel
assure
great
you
again.
always,
Let's make
I
Ukraine
will
great
always
again.
give Israel the ability to defend itself. In
What other
particular,
countries
as it relates to,
sucking at the
as it
teat of
relates to Iran,
America that we can make
and
great
any
again?
threat that Iran
which
and
one's
its
not?
proxies pose
Let's just
to
make them all
Israel.
great again.
But we must have a
Leave
two-state
our border down.
solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
The
President Trump, how
Palestinian,
would
the
you
Israeli
negotiate
does not
with
want Palestinian to
Netanyahu
have self-determination.
And also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a
Kamala
very important
Harris
speech.
never
She
being
refused to be there because she was
Amen.
at a sorority
Never.
party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror, and they are spheres of terror.
You had
horrible
4
terror.
Middle East
They had no
peace
money.
deals, sir.
It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that
That's a
Donald
bold-faced
Trump is
lie.
weak and wrong on national
like they need to
security
be on
and
a
foreign
stripper pole.
policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one.
This is
according to
confession
himself.
through
Okay,
projection.
that is a
It is well
that is
known
a whopper.
that he said
You
of
just-
Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors.
There was no wars
that
under
is
Trump.
why
Look at you, bitch. What do we
So
got
many
going with you?
military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice
That's
President Harris,
exactly
thank
why
you.
you can't be president,
And
lady.
she's the one that caused it. That's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia.
All right, so we can't pull.
Oh my goodness,
All
dude! The
right.
amount of shit that she's spewing
So
out.
at
What's your
the break-
list? What's your list, Larry? What do you
At
got?
the break,
Wow.
Harris has told 5, 10, 15, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25.
Whoppers.
Well, no, 25
Since we
whoppers,
jump
lies,
back in,
and
yep.
small lies. Now define them for you. Whopper,
right.
of course, is obvious,
Yeah,
right? And then a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
You know, but a small lie is I'm looking at her body language, like if she's while Trump is speaking, if she's shaking her head no, while Donald Trump is telling the truth, right? That is a small lie,
okay.
right? So I didn't know what else to call that, but that's what the small lie is.
Let's
she has
call that
told
just the tip. Let's
yes,
use it in
sexual terms.
fellatio.
Yeah.
Since you guys tried to draw me into fellatio terms earlier, and I wanted to smack both
I
of you.
didn't draw nothing.
Let's go with okay. So Whopper is the whole shaft.
Yeah. Bold-faced lies.
Bold-faced lies
are in
is
purple.
is just working it, and then small lies is just the tip.
Yes. Yeah. So you have
Okay,
15
all right.
whoppers.
Yeah,
You
deep throat,
have 3 bold-faced lies,
working the shaft.
and you have 7
No. Yeah.
Just the tips.
small lies.
Just the tips.
So that's how
Yeah.
that's
That's how that's
that is
working.
going down now.
I
Over
apologize.
here-
I apologize to those of you in our audience that are offended by that.
It's after
But
10 o'clock.
but you know what? We're dealing with a vice president that achieved some of her first political offices by
Yeah. And you know what?
blowing a guy named Willie
And
Brown.
fuck
who was
you if you don't like it.
That's true. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Larry.
So over here is the categories where I tried to make a record.
He's fabulous. This is the most note taking I've ever seen Larry do.
I know.
I wanted to keep track of the lies she was telling so they could be discussed.
He had to start a second page.
You know, yeah, the whoppers were Trump trade war deficit.
Yeah. Trump sold chips to China. He's like,
Trump,
no, we get all of our chips from Taiwan because we can't get them to manufacture here.
Trump will sign national abortion.
Now, what surprised
Ban.
me
Yeah.
was the debate back by the commentators.
Right.
She got like the one chick. She's like, President Trump, that didn't happen. All right, Kamala, Vice President,
Right.
we're gonna go. He's like,
Right.
really?
The debate back by the question asker.
This is a debate.
Between the
You don't fucking tell me I'm wrong.
yeah.
I get to say what I get to say. You get to say what you get to say, and we're fucking done.
In the framing of these questions.
Dude, again, these questions are straight up. When did you stop beating your wife, Larry?
Yesterday.
Oh, so you did beat your wife. You admit that you beat your wife?
No.
But I asked you when you stopped beating your wife, and you said yesterday. So you beat your wife up until yesterday.
No.
These are the way the questions are framed. It's a no-win. Honey, does this dress make my ass look fat?
Yeah, don't answer that. Don't you ever answer that question.
No, the dress is very slimming, dear.
That is a trick
Again,
question.
when did you stop beating your wife?
Hey, that dress fits your ass perfect. It's your ass that's fat. The dress doesn't do nothing.
The dress
shows that your ass is fat. And
Dude, come on.
The dress fits your ass perfect.
Trump is
Your just ass happens to be
you know,
fat.
I will give this observation while we're doing this, okay? Kamala is being
masculine, holding her own.
She's being as articulate as I've
She's
ever
a
seen
man,
her.
baby.
She is actually able to be cognizant and respond.
Two little cackles.
And I'll tell you what, I will give her credit for being on point and being at least
coherent
in this debate. I'll give her that. I'll give her that. She's actually on that level, not the
Think
lying
about
level,
this.
not the deceit level, but
Think
on that
about
level
this.
of being able to communicate and articulate her position through the lies and bullshit. I often think, is this her DA mode?
Oh, right.
Where she has her line and
That's
she's
right.
going to persecute, you know?
She has worked the courtroom, hasn't
She has worked the courtroom as well as a couple of penises.
All right, we're coming back.
Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
And
welcome back to this historic ABC
partisan
presidential
media.
debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more, because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here.
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president that doesn't know.
Just to clarify the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war? Yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on
You keep trying to
support
bait him.
for Ukraine.
When did you
in
stop
this
beating your
moment,
wife?
But also, as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin? And would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president, you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
Oh, Biden? She just said, oh,
believe
Biden.
The reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's
No, we're
understand
going to
that.
spend billions of dollars more
I
in
actually
Ukraine.
met with
Whopper
Zelensky
number 16.
a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force
We
to change
first went through
territorial boundaries,
Russia.
one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and
went to
Romania.
the American southern
And then never went to the southern
I
border.
and
though.
others did. We brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our
righteous
support,
defense.
because of the air defense, the
What's the
ammunition,
largest,
the artillery, the
largest population
javelins,
of
the
neo-Nazis,
Abrams tanks that we have
former Nazis,
provided,
the descendants of
Ukraine
Nazis?
stands as an
Isn't that
independent
Ukraine?
and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean.
Another lie.
Because Putin's agenda is
That's
not
another
just about
bald-faced
Ukraine.
lie.
Understand
that's a
why
whopper.
the European allies and our
17
NATO
whoppers.
allies are so thankful that you are no longer president.
Because they're making
and
money
that
off
we
the war, you
understand
stupid
the
bitch.
importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve
What have you
the
done?
ability of Zelensky and the
Spent billions
Ukrainians
of dollars.
to
Of
fight
course they're
for their
happy.
independence.
They're happy, Patrick.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
Putin
they're
would be
making
sitting in Kyiv
yeah, they're making
with
money.
his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator.
I can still
who
yell
would
when I
eat
go
you for
downstairs
lunch.
because
You're going to have that shoved up your
Vice
ass.
President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine
Oh,
tonight.
no, no, no,
Afghanistan
no,
came
no,
up.
no,
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 no, David.
no, no, no.
No,
I
you don't
wanted
get to
respond
back off
something
of
you
that
said
shit.
Earlier, and please, I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women. But he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow.
Quiet, please.
Much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden, in my opinion. I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator.
Yeah, she goes down.
They sent her
She
in to
does go down.
negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should as a leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows
Another whopper.
strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy.
Are they
And
cutting
that
off
is
Trump's
very
head in
much
that
what
two
is
shot
at
on
stake
purpose?
here. The President of the United States is commander in chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility
And that's
in
not
terms
you.
of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President,
See, that wasn't
do you
flattering
believe you
of
bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played
Kamala
out?
and
Well, I will
Yeah.
tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would.
She's
and
never
Joe
had any
Biden
kids.
did.
She agrees with pulling out all
And
the time.
as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got
Yeah, because
to
the
where
ones
we
that they
are.
left in the war
Donald
zone
Trump, when he was
are
president,
fucking dead.
negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker.
Let that sit
Even
in
his national security
veterans.
advisor said
There's no
it
one
was
in
a
active
weak,
duty
terrible deal. And here's
'cause
how
they're
it went
dead.
down. He
Left behind.
bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, get this.
Business.
And
No, get this.
the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance
Hey,
for us as
their
Americans,
enemy's
a
close.
place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive
The Taliban's a leader.
respected world
You bring those
leaders.
leaders to the table, try and
And
negotiate.
Do you think the
This-
British were ever brought to Camp David?
Former president, as president, invited
British were
them
brought to Camp David too.
to Camp David because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States.
Another lie.
To be commander in chief with a level of respect.
You're out of your
And this
depth.
gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect
puke
of the
bucket?
United States of
Yep.
America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations
thank
with the
you.
Taliban.
So
Yeah. I'm going to respond
if you
to
take
what
a
I
look
want
at
to
that
respond
period
to,
of
not what
time,
you're about to say. Just want to.
the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left
$80 billion.
$85 billion worth of
85
brand
billion.
new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you.
Oh, is that
I want to
the
move
framing
on now
of
to
your-
race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black." I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words. So I'm
I
asking.
don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career,
Gonna call him racist.
attempted to use race to divide the American people.
Another lie. That's a
I
whopper.
do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was a land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first Black president of the United States.
Lie.
I think the
That's
American
bold-faced
people
lie. That was Hillary Clinton.
Want better than that. Want better than this.
That's 20 bull. That's
Want
no,
someone
that was a
who
whopper.
understands, as I do, I
20
travel our
whoppers.
country.
You do? But you didn't
We
go to the
see
border.
in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other.
That's why we don't want Democrats.
Can we please just have discourse?
I'm gonna have to
about
sleep in tomorrow
how
because I'm
we're
getting
going to
fucking drunk
invest
every
in
time
the
I got a drink.
aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people, knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country.
Cocksuckers
One
unite.
who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans. And
was that on our list?
And let's
that was on our
compare
list,
the
right?
plans.
On day one,
haven't you
on
done
day
it?
one, I'll
Startup
fix all this
businesses,
shit that we've done.
$50,000 tax deduction to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life.
Oh, wait, you've got a plan to give away money instead of empowering people to make and earn their own money.
Where's
That
this
is
money
I want you to give me fucking
allowing
money, lady. I want you to
people
get out of my way
to
so I can
pursue
make my own
what
money.
has
That
been
money's
fleeting
coming
in terms
from?
of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000.
I don't
down
want your
payment
fucking
assistance
help.
for
I want you to
first-time
get
home
away
buyers.
from me so I
That's
can
the
do
kind
it
of
myself.
conversation I believe,
You don't
David,
fucking get that.
people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name calling.
Like you're doing right now.
Turn the page.
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank
Turn
you.
the
Let's
page.
turn to policy.
President
Let's turn
Trump,
back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
That's
you,
what
Mr.
her plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond.
No,
because
Trump,
the
President
former
Trump.
president has said something twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry. We're
I
gonna
just need to
move
respond
on, Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this
multiple
is
times.
now your third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just.
That's another fucking zinger. We should have been kept track of the zingers.
Yeah, we should have.
Or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great,
At
and
about
it's too expensive for people.
seven,
And
eight
what
zingers.
we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that.
That's
And you'll be
honest.
hearing about it
That's
in the not
honest.
too
She's going to
distant
give us a
future.
platitude
Vice
in
President
response.
Harris, in
There's going to be a
2017, you
platitude
supported
response
Bernie Sanders'
bullshit.
proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system.
That's
2
worked
years
great
later, you
throughout the
proposed
world.
a plan that included a
Socialism.
private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain
Lie.
and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away.
No,
so stop
your
with the
Secret
continuous
Service that
lying
stands
about
around
this
you are
stuff.
gun owners.
As
You
it relates to the
despise anybody
Affordable
else
Care
having the
Act,
right to protect
understand,
themselves.
Let's just
these are
look at the
comments made
history to
before
know
the
where
break.
people stand. When
No,
Donald
he just
Trump
said
was
it. He just
president,
reiterated it again.
60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
I went to get
60
more
times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the
Is she got a
early
lazy eye
morning
that blinks more
hours
than the other one?
when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. and the late, great John McCain,
Now you're going to make me look
who
at her.
you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said at the time, because
And you
he
have
got
said-
caught. He was an American
He's
hero.
a rhino.
The late,
He
great
was
John
not a
McCain, I will
fucking-
never forget
that's
that
a,
night.
That's a whopper.
Walked onto
McCain
the
was
Senate
never
floor
an
and
American
said,
hero.
no, you don't.
I ain't,
No,
I
you
ain't
don't.
letting that one
No, you
slide.
don't
Wait,
get
wait.
rid of the Affordable Care
John
Act. You
McCain,
have
what was
no
his daughter's
plan.
name?
And what the Affordable Care Act has done is
Meghan McCain.
eliminate
Yeah,
the
she voted
ability
against
of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing
know.
conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight. You remember what
She was
that
a
was
dyke.
like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor,
Patrick.
if a grandparent had
Can these
diabetes?
insurance companies do the same
And
fucking thing
thankfully,
she's trying to say that?
As I've been vice president,
Even
and
worse.
we over the last
I
4
watched
years
my
have
mom's
strengthened the Affordable
premiums
Care Act. We have allowed
quadruple
for the first time
in
Medicare to
6
negotiate drug
months.
prices.
As soon
on
as that
behalf of
shit went
you, the
into effect.
American people. Donald Trump said he was going
Go
to allow
fuck
Medicare
yourself.
to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did.
No,
And now
no,
we
no.
have capped the cost
She
of
just
insulin
said he
at
didn't
$35
negotiate
a
drug
month.
prices.
Since I've
He's
been
the
vice
one that got the
president,
fucking
we have
prices
capped the
down,
cost of
and then they
prescription
tried to take
medication
credit for
seniors
it.
at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people.
How about doing it now, bitch?
The value I bring to this
Oh, when you're
is
president,
that
you'll do it. You're the
access to
president of the
healthcare
Senate.
should be a right.
You
and
can't
not
fucking
just
do
a
it now?
privilege of those who can afford it. And
This-
the plan has
This,
to be
this bitch
to
claims
strengthen the
that
Affordable
Trump
Care
went
Act,
into
not get rid of
Congress
it,
and convinced
pass
them to
it
not
through
pass a
laws
border
in terms of
bill
where Donald
2
Trump
years
stands
ago.
on that.
I want to move to an issue
And
that's
as
important for
the
a lot of
sitting
people.
vice president
Number one,
and president of the
John
Senate,
McCain
she can't
fought
do anything
Obamacare
until
for
she gets
10 years.
elected?
But it wasn't only him. It were all
Talk
of
about
the
the
Democrats
$7,500,
that kept it
$10,000,
going.
and $20,000
And you know what?
deductibles with Obamacare.
We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get.
President
People
Trump-
are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change.
Oh,
President
God
Trump,
bless
to the
you.
environment,
Fuck
you say that
off.
we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President
In
Harris,
America,
you
but
call
not
climate
China
change
and
an
India.
Existential threat. The question to you both
Existential
tonight
threat.
is
Go fuck
what
yourself.
would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax.
It is.
It
And
is.
What we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask
You
anybody
mean somebody
who
who
has
builds a
been,
fucking house on a fault
the
line
victim
and then an
of
earthquake
what that
happens?
means in
Oh my
terms
God,
of
an
losing
earthquake
their
happened in a
home,
fault line.
having nowhere to go.
That's extreme
We
weather,
know
global
that
warming.
we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue.
Wait, your
And I am
boss
proud that
Obama
as
said he
vice
was going to
president
build.
over the last 4 years.
The oceans
we have
were gonna
invested
rise.
$1 trillion in a
But he
clean
bought
energy economy, while we
oceanfront
have
property
also
a foot
increased
above sea
domestic
level.
gas production to historic
$73 million
levels.
house above
We
sea
have
level.
The ocean will rise
800,000 new
1/100th of
manufacturing jobs.
1%
While I have been
over the
vice
next
president, we
300
have
fucking
invested
years.
in clean energy to the point
I
that we
still
are
love that quote.
opening up
Thank you, Tim.
factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that
Wait,
part of
a union
building
boss
clean
has
energy
endorsed you?
economy includes investing
Ooh, that's
in
a great
American
endorsement.
made
How about the line
products,
workers who actually
American
have to take care of their own
automobiles.
bills?
It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving.
Dude.
They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they
They're
think they're
building
going to sell their
big
cars into
businesses
the
in
United
countries
States because of
where the
these
crime
people.
rate has
What
dropped.
they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing
It's like
in
we're
this
coming up on a
country
break.
is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it between him and his son They get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration.
I'm not running it. You're not running against
selling our
Biden.
country
Yeah, right,
down
because
the
you removed him.
tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates.
Closing
An historic night, this ABC News
Holy
presidential debate.
shitballs. All right, so here's the thing. I got to tell you this while we go to the commercial break. I know personally a whole bunch of guys that work at the GM Proving Grounds.
Yeah.
They just literally the other day had a whole where they sent out an email to show up at a meeting at 7:00 by 8 a.m. Computers, phones, everything shut out, locked out, done. They let go a whole bunch of workers, dude. Just white collar guys. Your job's gone. No communication. The only way you know that you lost your job, your phone doesn't work anymore.
Wow.
When he says 10,000 fucking jobs, he's serious.
Yeah,
They're
hell yeah.
shipping that shit and going other. That's the legacy of the fucking Biden administration.
Well, that's what happens in Democrat-controlled
100%.
areas. Michigan, look at under Whitmer.
No, Shitsmear, you were right. You got it right. You got it right.
Got it right the first time.
Look at
Yeah.
Michigan. Look at the exodus in Michigan. People can't get out of this state fast enough.
I just talked to a guy. In fact, I just started. I got talked into playing on a league on Saturdays, right? And I walked in there, and I'm meeting the guy, and I, introduce ourselves because I know one guy on the team, right? And I meet all these other guys, and I'm like, "Hi, how you doing?" He's like, "Yeah, I just moved back up here from Florida," and I'm like, "You moved back up here from Florida?" He's like, "My job transferred me." I'm like, "Okay, your job transferred you?" And of course there were perks for transferring. And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "It's getting very crowded in Florida because the amount of people that are showing up down there that are having to exit fucking blue states that are falling apart." Yeah. Florida and Texas are being inundated by people coming to those states because their states are fucking failing them and they just got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and it's amazing what happens because there's one person in my neighborhood that has a Waltz sign up. Right?
You sent me pictures. It was disgusting.
I didn't send you that one. That's not in my neighborhood. Somebody sent me that. I didn't take that.
Oh.
But one of my neighbors has a Waltz.
You sent me
sign
something that
up.
was disgusting, so
Yeah.
I just assumed it was from your neighborhood.
Yeah, and these people, they move here from Democrat cities.
Coffee.
They've devastated Democrat cities with Democrat policies. They want to come back here. They want to escape their destroyed communities. They come out here to a thriving community, and then they vote stupid.
Isn't that cognitive dissonance? Is like, wait a minute, you left the shithole area that you were in,
that you created.
That you created by the policies that were there, and then you come here and you don't have any cognitive comprehension that maybe the policies that you liked when you were at the place that collapsed might not apply to the place you came to that was doing really good. Maybe you should come in and go, "Hey, why is your economy better than where I was at?"
Yeah.
No, we need to make it like it was where I was at. Yeah. Well, your fucking shit collapsed.
Yeah.
Why would I want to make it the same as where you were at?
Yeah.
Right. Well, because it makes me feel good. Well, maybe your feelings can go fuck themselves because I don't want you. Listen, I love it when we had the people down here south of us that didn't want the PUD, right? They didn't want the whole thing coming in to rezone our whole area. It was united. Democrats, Republicans across the board were coming in and saying, we don't want this because we moved here to have a simple life in a farm-oriented region. And now you're trying to bring in this at least
industrial campus.
Yeah. We don't want it. And it was Democrat to Republican across the board. What do you got, Larry?
Headline.
Trump tells Harris to fly back, wake up Biden. Oh, yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. Why don't you fly back, wake him up at 4 p.m. in the afternoon?
Yeah.
So we're coming up on final thoughts here. We're walking back. That's that guy. He's got very nice coiffed hair. I like his hair. It's very coiffed. Even when the helicopter's going. Yeah. It's coiffed. Look at that. Did you see the way it was? Look at that. Yeah. That hair is gorgeous. If it takes that helmet off, I guarantee that hair is perfect. It's
there it
just
is right there.
Look at that. Yeah. That's perfectly coiffed. You know what that hair looks like to me? It's like an eagle in its majesty. It's perfectly coiffed. No matter what that eagle just grabbed a fucking fish out of the water, take it back to its nest to feed its young, and the feathers are perfect. That's that guy, David.
I think
in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
you got good.
Here again.
I try. I'm gonna get it cut tomorrow morning.
Davis.
I think you maybe.
I'm a little welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements. And Vice President Harris, we begin with
you. Drink too much.
I do. I'm drinking more.
So I think you've heard tonight two very
final thoughts
different
from Kamala
visions
Harris.
for our
She
country.
has thoughts.
Let's see what you got.
One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past.
Right, because we got to remember the past, so you repeat it.
Backward. But we're not going back.
And
I do believe
that
that's
what Mao said.
I'm going to call that a whopper.
That's what Mao said.
Trump is not trying
and we
to
can chart a new way forward.
To move us forward.
And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living.
Giving away taxpayer money.
I believe in what we can do together. That is about sustaining America's standing in the world.
We don't want to sustain, we want to grow.
Have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world.
Sustain where we're at.
I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people.
Willie Brown.
And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat?
Willie was her
The only thing I ever asked them,
one client.
are you okay?
Willie Brown.
She's been fucking over the American
and that's the
people
kind of president we
for
need
years.
right now. Someone who cares about you
American
and is
people
not
are her
putting
John.
themselves first. I
Projection.
intend to be a president for all Americans.
Cares about you and not putting.
Focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Yeah, while we send money to Ukraine.
All right, here we go.
Here we go, Trump. Tear it up. I'll try to shut
So
up.
she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things.
Listen.
Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center.
Yes.
I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from all of us here at ABC News.
David Muir.
You know what? There's a lot of leading questions, but you know what? It wasn't horrible.
No, it wasn't horrible.
Wasn't horrible.
We have a grand total.
What do you
Now,
got?
this does not include the parts of the debate that we missed.
No.
Right.
So we probably missed, what, 10 minutes? Is that about right, Tim? Did we
missed about 10 minutes?
You're asking me? I was here with you.
Okay. Well, I'm guessing we missed 10 minutes, right? Maybe 15.
Okay.
Right? Maybe 15. So I have a total of 36 lies.
Our reporters across the news division have been
I hit, you know what I hit?
allegations made.
That's where it is, Tim.
What?
The fucking button on my keyboard to mute when I pull up a something on my stream for us.
Spacebar.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Thank you. Is that the beginning of it?
Wait a moment. First of all,
What
we
did
hadn't
he say?
seen a handshake.
He's like, you're a fucking whore.
Yeah, get that mouth away from you. It's disease, man.
I'm not giving him words, but I think that's what he said. Anyways, I figured out that my keyboard, it doesn't matter. Larry, finish.
I think
Okay, wrap it up. Wrap it up.
the candidate
Wait,
of hope,
wrap it up.
the candidate of the future.
Mirror,
Donald
mirror
Trump
on the wall. Who's the
seemed
fairest of
angry
them all?
within
Snow
4
White,
minutes.
not
I
you.
think we
Who the
said-
fuck is that lady?
I don't know.
She's a has-been. Yes.
Wow. Is
But
there a football
anyways,
game or
I have
something
a
on?
grand total of 36 lies. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 whoppers. You have 5 bold-faced lies and 7 small lies, or whatever you want to call the
Just the
intended
tips.
lies. When
Just the tips.
Just the
Yeah.
tips.
The small lies
A little
are just the
co-
tip.
a
This
little
is
co- a little
the lies are
colinguist.
working the shaft, and then the whoppers were a full. So the vast majority of the
We're whoppers.
were the full blown
Yeah.
deep throating.
She was telling
Yeah, a
some
little
she was
colinguist,
telling
a little
some
deep
whoppers.
throating, and a whole
Deep throating.
whole
Yeah.
shitload of anal.
Yeah, yeah. Where did that category come?
I mean, that's the worst of them, man.
Whoa! Hey, we have totally derailed.
I mean,
Any other comments? I thought I will give it to her. I will give her props.
Anal was a whopper.
I thought Kamala handled herself much better than I expected.
Yeah.
She is a typical flailer and goes to her. She did go to her.
I wouldn't have gotten drunk on cackles. She only had like 3.
We could have picked cackles off our list.
Yeah, but
and
we
have been-
don't. Yeah, we don't know how many cackles we missed, though. But that's true.
Correct.
I mean, in the half hour.
And I probably would have done. We would have gotten. We may not even gotten bust on the cackles because I probably would have put the vodka or the tequila in a shaker with some ice.
Sure.
And it would have been a little watered down. We'd have been safe. We'd have been
on
safe.
cackles.
As it is, I just
gotta
kept.
say I'm impressed with Trump. He did not get plugged in. He was getting frustrated. I was getting frustrated for him, and he could have really gone off the deep end. He
kept his cool.
maintained his composure.
He did.
I'll tell you what.
He did a good job.
He looked
100%.
irritated. He looked irritated.
He looked irritated
Oh, yeah.
as well. Any of
But
us would
who,
be.
shit, who wouldn't be irritated to have to deal with that bitch?
Right.
Yeah.
and the 2 moderators with the leading questions. Can you? And then they come back and go, "Can you just give me a yes or no?"
Yeah.
Nothing's a fucking yes or no.
No,
It's
it never is.
nuanced.
No.
Right.
But
Everything's
he kept steering,
nuanced.
He kept steering the conversation back to
His
whenever,
points.
Whenever it felt like that he was maybe wanting to be more verbose, more agitated.
Yeah.
He kept
Well,
steering
here's my
back to the
records.
border, back to some of the topics.
Yeah, 100%. He kept doing that, and that's a strong debater who knows how to command it will constantly lead you back to what they want to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. And
Instead of being held in response. Give me your final thoughts, Larry.
Frankly, fuck your questions. I'm going to talk what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm going to steer whatever you ask into what I want to say.
I will give it to Kamala. I thought she held herself, but Trump was the
Trump destroyed her.
Trump was the king of the debate tonight.
Actually, Patrick,
Patrick, what do you have to say, buddy?
Is there going to be a debate between Harris and Waltz? I mean, not Harris.
They're booking these things.
Waltz and
willy-nilly.
JD?
Yeah.
They're booking these things willy nilly. I mean,
Yeah, because
this one was-
these people have been shoehorned in this. Look at
Yeah.
they're giving this. I don't have the feed up anymore, but they're giving this.
Well, I got the wall.
They're going to Waltz behind me. Look at here.
Oh, yeah.
Waltz. Let me tampon Waltz. I'm gonna pick his nose.
Let's see what he wanted
that's
to say
where
on the
Trump blew
rebuttal.
it.
Yeah.
Because Trump could have easily talked about boys and girls bathrooms, locker rooms.
It didn't come up though.
Sports.
Did it come up?
Well, he could have when he
They
said
tried-
about when he started talking about the
Yeah,
country she wanted to create.
But they
she's
tried
against
to.
fracking.
The big thing they tried to hammer, Larry, you heard it, was the abortion, and I think he did a phenomenal job of just nuking them on the abortion issue.
Before Larry gives his final thoughts.
Yeah.
Do you know what metagaming is?
No.
Okay, metagaming is whenever you're playing a game,
Yeah.
you happen to know, say, how the coders of the video game wrote the video game, so you know a little trick. Remember ever playing like Mario and you could jump on the turtle and get infinite lives?
Yeah.
It's just the way the game dynamics work. So metagaming this.
Well, wait a minute. You
Yeah.
could jump on the turtle and get
infinite lives on the.
If
Jeremy,
you got
explain.
good,
Yes.
on Nintendo,
Oh, yeah.
on the original Mario,
Yeah.
what was it, 23 minutes?
Speed run, yeah.
Speed run.
You know what the world record is?
What, 13?
No, 8.
Eight?
8 minutes 43 seconds.
What's
There's
the
t-shirts. There's t-shirts.
Yeah, what's the average?
The average speed? I don't know.
It's like 23, 24 minutes.
If you hit the warp tunnel and
Yeah, you're just like
Bowser.
You're just like
Yeah, yeah.
and
8
you're just fucking
minutes.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Point being, metagaming this debate.
I was a
Trump-
Zelda guy.
I know Zelda was good. Well, if you knew where the secret door was to that one ferry,
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not talking fairies. We're talking Trump. The whole point of his drawing the topic back to, say, national defense, drawing the topic back to the
Order.
the and the
100%.
oil and the energy.
Yep.
He's talking to his donors.
100%.
He's talking to
Yep.
the vote generators.
100%.
The industry standards.
Right.
So he's metagaming.
He was talking
Yes.
to the Keystone Pipeline guys,
Yes.
the 40,000 that lost their
Yes.
jobs
Yeah.
because they
Yes.
fucking shut it down. He was
Yes.
talking to
And
the
the
auto
JD
workers
Vance.
that just fucking lost their job.
Yep.
We want to go to JD Vance?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what
All right,
Jeremy's got to
let's see what they're setting up the question here. I'm not hearing it.
Oh shit! I turned it down
All right, let's turn it back up.
because Patrick kept hitting the button and it was annoying me.
Oh, all right.
It's up. Go.
Can you explain the mix-up here?
Well, I think the president's been very clear that he doesn't want a national abortion ban. I think in some ways he finds the question a little bit ridiculous because why are we asking him about legislation that's never going to
gonna
actually happen
Never
and
gonna
why
happen.
he would veto it or not veto it when he says very explicitly that he doesn't support a national abortion
President
ban
Trump,
and he
if
wants these
unicorns
policies to be
existed,
made by the
would you
states.
put
But
him in a
I think there's
zoo
a
or
deeper
let
and
them
more
run
important
free?
issue here in this debate, which is
Fucking
that you
brilliant.
had Kamala Harris effectively echoing platitude after
watch this
platitude
film?
after platitude. The American people can't pay their grocery bills on platitudes. They can't put their kids in a house on platitudes. And Kamala Harris had a lot to say, but very little actual substance behind it for how she's going to lower grocery prices, secure the
100%.
border, and make housing more affordable in this country. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She can't run on a record, and she apparently can't run on much of her plans either because it's just a lot of slogans and not a whole lot of substance.
Fucking A.
Senator Vance, why won't he just say that he would veto the national abortion ban? And by the way,
I'll come back
had
to
you
the talking
spoken
point.
to him about it before you were put in a position to answer that question?
No, I hadn't spoken to him about it because, again, Donald Trump thinks the question is absurd because he doesn't support a national abortion ban, and he's been explicit about it. And, John, I think that it's so preposterous for the media to focus so much on an
Fucking
issue
A.
where Donald Trump has been crystal clear and not on the fact that people can't afford groceries and housing because
Keep
of Kamala
hammering that
Harris's
shit, JD.
policies. This election is actually quite simple, and Kamala
Metagaming.
Harris and apparently the media would like to distract Americans on issues, by the way, that Donald Trump's been crystal clear about, but they're not talking nearly enough. This debate didn't talk nearly enough about the fact that Americans are struggling because they can't afford groceries, they can't afford housing,
True.
and a lot of their
afford
kids
gas.
are dying of fentanyl overdoses because Kamala Harris has let the Mexican drug cartels take over the southern border. This is
well,
a disgrace
Senator-
what's going on in our country, John, and we could do so much better if we just had better leadership. We've got the best workers, the most beautiful country, the best natural
why can't we
resources,
kill
but
babies in the
Kamala
womb?
Harris's leadership is squandering the great benefit to this country. It's why we've got to get back to Donald Trump's leadership.
Senator, why can't we kill babies?
Because he hadn't been crystal clear.
But we
He said
can't kill
something different than what
babies,
you said.
Senator.
That's why I was seeking clarification. But let me ask you about this for just very quickly.
Senator, we can't kill
I
babies,
heard
though.
Donald Trump before this debate
economy's bad,
describe
but
Kamala
Can I get
Harris
my
as,
tie
I'll
at
just
the
read a
candy
few of
cane
them,
store?
a low IQ individual.
She is
somebody
fucking
who doesn't
low
have the
IQ.
mental capacity to be president, really
100%.
dumb, unable to put two sentences together.
I was proud
Is
of
that
her
what you saw on the
performance
stage,
tonight because she is low IQ.
That was impressive.
John,
for
what I
low
saw
IQ,
was
yeah.
a lot of slogans. I think the American people are smart, and Kamala Harris talks to them like they're children. She repeats these ridiculous platitudes where if you actually think about what she said, you realize that it doesn't make any sense. She talks a lot about her plans, but then her plans, when you analyze the substance, don't make any sense. And more importantly, John, the American people don't get fed on plans. She has been the vice president for 3.5 years. What she can't do, refuses to do, and has no ability to do is to say, I accomplished lower prices because she didn't, or I accomplished lower housing prices because she didn't, or I secured the southern border because she didn't do that. She has failed as vice president, and the fundamental question is, do we want to give her a promotion? I think the answer has to be no, John.
All right, Senator Vance, thank you.
So
I like this
that
guy.
dude Vance fucking
Yeah.
shredded it.
Yeah, he rocks.
Dude, he kept coming back to it and saying, dude, really?
Good night, everybody.
Lower gas, lower grocery prices, lower housing prices. Oh, but you're worried about whether we can kill a baby in a womb.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
kill a baby in a womb, kill a
Larry.
baby in a womb. Listen, I
Larry.
can't feed the
Larry.
fucking ones that are living in my house
Larry's
right now. I
final-
can't afford my house.
Larry's final thoughts.
Larry, you leaving me?
Yeah, I've got to get going. It's early in the
He's
morning.
got 3 minutes. Give me final thoughts.
My final thoughts. Did he give his final thought?
Well, my final thought is this. We've now seen the difference between the two candidates. Trump has an established record,
100%.
and so does Biden Harris.
Where to sign it?
You know, and Biden Harris Biden Harris has no plans that will benefit society.
That makes sense.
Nothing.
Her plans will not benefit this country. You know, and it goes beyond the stuff that they covered here. They tried some gotcha questions with Trump, and he batted them away, and I think he did a good job.
Larry, when did you stop beating your wife?
So
After he stopped drinking coffee, you still
Yes.
awake?
Coffee, Ella, Cinderella,
Umbrella.
Umbrella.
Mandela.
mm-hmm.
Do you know a fella
Nutella, Ella.
that eats Nutella?
You know what? I might have to have a glass, a drink, a cup of coffee.
Well, clearly Trump won this debate.
Like he did
Here's
with
my
Biden.
predictions for tomorrow. Tomorrow,
The polls will be skewed that he
media
won.
will be saying how Harris won the debate and
she was so
Trump
strong.
is a racist.
She was
But
so
the American
strong.
people, the polls are going to
She was trying to protect
the
her.
American people picked Trump as the winner.
Listen,
So,
gas
I will
is
see
up.
you guys later.
See you, Larry. Gas is up really, really high, but she fought for us to kill babies in the womb.
That's because she's a whore.
Listen, our housing prices has doubled, but she fought to kill babies in the womb.
That's her claim to fame, and that's how she got where she's at, flat on her back with the legs up in the air.
You know what? We've got wars out there, and it's really, really bad, but she fought to kill babies in the womb. Bye, Larry.
Either way, your knees.
Yeah, my final thoughts. Listen, final thoughts on tonight. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. You had many places to watch this debate and listen to us rant over top of it. Appreciate it. If you guys are tuning in tomorrow or later on to catch the coverage of what we did, I hope you enjoyed it. We're trying to have fun because we got to make light of this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty heavy. When you've got somebody who's as vapid as fucking Kamala Harris, who has no real, as JD Vance articulated very well, she has no real positions or plan to do anything. She's just going to spout platitudes and spew it out there. There's nothing of real substance. Donald Trump comes in with real substance because he's proven it. His first term as president, he proved it over and over and over again. I remember the very big phrase, Patrick, you remember this. What's Donald Trump going to do? He's going to wave a magic wand and fix this. Donald Trump had multiple businesses secured and coming back to the United States to do manufacturing while president-elect, before he even took office. I know some of the people that benefited job-wise from him negotiating stuff. It was phenomenal.
You know the name of his book?
Who?
Trump's book.
The Art of the Deal?
Art of the Deal. He had the deals
100%.
lined up in May.
100%.
Before he walked in office. Yeah.
100%. And now they're interviewing Chris Christie. Fuck that fat fuck. So anyway, so my final thoughts are always do your own research, be wise. Here's the thing I'll say at the end of this. I don't even know how many people are still left, but people watch tomorrow. Look, I encourage you guys, take a moment tomorrow. Get into a quiet place or whatever your mechanism. My mechanism is not necessarily get into a quiet place. I put music on and I walk around, but I turn the lights off as much as I can. And I just start to talk with the Lord and meditate and just get in my prayer. We need to have maximum discernment moving forward because they're going to try something to derail this president, this election coming up. We need to be mindful, speak against it, because the prophetic word from Kim Clement and many other modern day prophets was that Trump will serve 2 terms. I thought that would be consecutive. The wisdom of God is to break that up and have him be the 45th and 47th president, because he wanted the American people to see what would happen with somebody else in office who's trying to destroy this country and literally pilfer this country, Ponzi scheme this country, destroy this country and make a profit off of it, which is Joe Biden and Obama and of course Kamala Harris. All right.
Oh, Biden. Yeah.
Trump is a businessman who said on Oprah 30 years ago, I don't think I'll ever run for president, but if I do, it'll be because the country has gotten to such a place that I feel compelled to do it. And he stepped up and he did it. He's the first president in recorded history, other than Washington, to lose money.
To go into the presidency
with money wealthier than when he came out.
Exited. Yes.
They have tried to destroy him through lawfare. They have tried to destroy him through character assassination. They've tried to destroy him personally through surrogates, through all the people that support him. They go after the surrogates that support him. Here's the thing. Get before the Lord and really ask, what is my position? What's my part? One of my parts, my co-hosts, Larry, Patrick, Grandma Connie, Mr. Coffee, Tim is our producer here. And Kelly, of course, and all the other people, Georgie that comes in, all of our other frequent co-hosts that come on here.
Jennifer, we didn't forget you.
Yeah, of course, Jen. I love Jen. Our job is to help bring light to a lot of the news issues that you may not have seen, but also to give commentary and to encourage everybody, because we've been disillusioned by some of the local machinations that are going on with our party, right?
Yeah.
And
but we still have to stay involved. We still have to push forward, and we can still be a voice that rises above party affiliation, rises above many of these other things, and just says, you know what? Listen to the Holy Spirit. Listen to the Spirit of God within you, and make that decision. You can be the most rank person. You can be the most difficult person to deal with, but in those moments of clarity, you can hear from God and make the right decision. I could point to you throughout scriptures, people that were difficult to deal with, that were not the most pleasing personalities to relate to, who in moments of clarity did what God wanted them to do and became a point of salvation for the people around them.
Fucking Paul, man.
And that's what I want everybody out there to be. Be the best that you can be. Find your purpose. Find your destiny. Find what your calling is and what your highest purpose is. And in your moments of clarity, when you quiet yourself, however that mechanism works, that you quiet yourself, listen to the voice of God on the inside of you and say, Lord, help me make the right decision in this moment. And he will every single time. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love you all. Like, share, and subscribe. Do all that stuff. Tim already went over the QR codes and all that other stuff earlier in the show. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Appreciate every one of you. We'll catch you next time.
Yep, what a night. This was a good debate, definitely.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Where's Schooler?
We are holding a place for
Graduate.
You said be all you could be. I was gonna pull up an army ad. Later, guys.
Later.
I couldn't click fast enough.
This is my brain.
Dad, that's an egg. Yeah, that's an egg.
Honey,
Dude,
that's an egg.
Seriously.
That's an egg. It's a metaphor. It's still an egg. That's an egg.
I would challenge you.
That's an egg.
I know my brain is not actually an egg, okay? It's a metaphor.
Metaphor or not, that's not your brain.
It's just an egg.
Una cerveza para mí. My egg is my brain.
Can I at least have some bacon, maybe some sausage with that egg, though?
Oh, I want some bacon.
I want crepes.
Have some bacon and pancakes with that egg.
I'll take it with cheese.
Extra large brown cage-free eggs.
Can I have your brain with hot cakes?
Sausage and a little toast and potatoes.
That would be great.
Does it have antibiotics?
I don't know, man. I'm not good at this shit.
Well, they got to be able to resist some diseases.
You resist the disease.
Has it got any hormones?
Maybe. It's cage free.
Vegetarian?
Maybe.
Are they vegan?
No, I eat steak.
Never apologize and never explain.
Never apologize.
Never apologize and never explain.